What's up, guys? We are live. So we got a juicy debate for you today. I'm going to be debating my biggest hater. And it's in quotes because obviously that's not really the case. Well, it's going to be one of the things we're going to be discussing. And this feels like that characterization is, not correct. But we're going to get to that point as well. But yeah, so you guys might be thinking, oh, why are you letting him have his camera off, right? I thought you had the new policy. So I'm going to make a one-time exception to this policy because when we were talking about setting up the debate, it was before I introduced that policy. So your email came in before I made that new rule. So I feel like in the interest of fairness, I'm going to, allow you to not have your camera on, right? Because again, you agreed to the debate before the rule came in. So I'm going to make an exception for him. But generally speaking, moving forward, yes, you are going to have to turn your camera on unless you're someone that I know well and fully trust. So Ennis sent me a very nice detailed email. And look, I'll give props where props is due. A lot of people talk shit on the internet. I challenge pretty much all of them to debate. 99% of them run away. Ennis was not one of those guys that ran away. He sent me a very detailed, long email explaining the disagreements he has with me. And, I'm excited to go over these things. So, yeah, Ennis, do you want to give a quick introduction before we get into it?
Yeah, sure. So I think most of the regulars probably recognize my name from the comments in the chat or whatever. Um, Basically, just to not get into too much about my personal stuff, but just philosophy wise, I'm not a black pillar. I do believe in a lot of black pill concepts, but where I move away from that camp is, the absolutism and the nihilistic aspect of that. And there's nothing you can do. Like your looks are everything. That's what pushes me away from that camp. And I actually do believe in game. I believe in game from like a inner game, like social dynamics perspective. Where I start to differ is on like the whole dating coaches and pickup artist uh, industry. That's basically the gist of my philosophy, my beliefs.
Okay, cool. So let's start off with the first point. So the first thing you want to discuss is the whole Clara, I guess, situation or timeline, whichever way you call it. So
Yeah.
why don't you just explain what you think is going on? Like, what do you think that PWF is not telling you the truth about? And then I'll respond to that because I don't remember exact top of my head what
Yeah.
is the thing that you're doubting.
Yeah. So it was a comment that I made. It was a timeline. So the first point on the timeline was the first event that happened, as I see it, is that NDMP got quote unquote exposed for the financial assistance on seeking arrangements. That was the first step of the timeline. The next thing that happened was, from my perspective, you guys started to put a lot of new rules in place and started doing some damage control uh, and started, honestly banning people. I know that there were a million pie eater accounts and people that should have been banned, but I feel like there were some people that I recognized, like regulars, that were also banned. And then next, I think the third thing was NDNP quote unquote disappeared. So his presence wasn't as felt. He wasn't going on streams anymore. He was in Seattle or whatever. And then the final point was that he reemerged and he basically is now dating a porn star.
Wait,
So
hang on. He's not dating. They just had sex once.
well,
There's no
well,
dating.
yeah, not dating, but having sex with a porn star. And from my comment was basically saying, you know, it's either some really magical luck that he has, or it's like a PR thing, and you're kind of trying to clean up his image a little bit. So
Okay.
I did
So
give you the benefit of the doubt. I did say it could have been magic, but yeah.
I wrote down everything you said. So for the fourth one, had sex with Clara. Are you doubting that happened? Or are you saying you don't think it happened?
Um, I don't know that it happened. I think if it did happen, um, I don't I don't know that I would think that it was based off his quote unquote game. And
What
I
do you
think
think it
either
would be?
I think maybe she's I don't want to speculate about it, but I think maybe she's looking to branch out and maybe get into something else. Maybe maybe it somehow helped her career. I don't want to outright say that he's like paying for it or anything. I don't think that's the case even on the seeking arrangements, by the way. But Yeah, that's what I think. But my point really was that it was just I don't want to say suspicious, but it was like a really convenient coincidence that, you know, that's the after he disappeared for a while, after all that scandal, then, he came back and he's hooking up with a porn star. So it's like, you know,
Okay, so let's go through these one by one. So the first thing you
yeah.
said is gets exposed for seeking. There was
Uh-huh.
no exposing that happened. So we and my subscribers confirm this. I've talked about the fact that me and DMP utilize seeking for ages. We actually have a
Yep.
bonus chapter in our prior where we reveal our seeking profiles and show you how you can use seeking to your advantage. And if you don't believe me, I can show you that right now. But
No, no, I
the
was
point
going
of
to say, I agree. You were 100% open, like, for years now. I agree. You even said you told Myron Gaines to get on Seeking, so I know that's true.
Yeah,
Not
so
doubting that.
there was no real exposing that happened. That's the first thing. In terms of, like, for example, our business, how much of a dip we took? Zero. Like, it didn't affect us at all. It was just a few black pillars were, making it seem like they got them, but nothing really happened there. Now, the second thing you mentioned is the new rules. So we were actually, even before this whole thing, we were playing around with new rules. The reason I had to do this is because the chat has become a shit show, and it's a lot better now that I've cleaned things up. The chat has become a massive shit show. Now, look, I still allow people who disagree with me, to comment. Like, you've been commenting for a while. You mostly
Yep.
disagree with me. I haven't banned you. I haven't deleted your comments. Right? And there's a whole bunch of other people who I allowed to step on. Where I draw the line is if that person is just mass spamming, where it's like for one video they leave like 10 comments, and every single person gets banned, he gets a warning first. So there's multiple people in this chat who got warnings and they just didn't do it again. So then I didn't ban them. I've done that multiple times. Like, this is kind of what I've told my mods. So this is possible. The first step, if they break the rules, give them a warning. Second is you put them in a 5-minute timeout. Third, depends on how we like them. We might even give them another warning, or you might just ban them at that point. But you basically have to break the rules multiple times. And again, if I'm not just banning people who disagree with me. The comment section is full of people who disagree with me. None of them banned. We're banning the spammers and the trolls, or people who repeatedly break the rules. And again, we were playing around with these new rules before this whole thing even happened. I do agree that most of them happened in kind of recently, but again, that's just a pure coincidence. Now, Indian P disappeared. This one's actually very easy to disprove. So Indian P so he has two jobs. One is for PWF and one is his tech job. So his tech contract didn't renew right around that time, and he was nonstop searching for jobs. He had to go to Seattle because his lease also expired. He wasn't sure if he was going to get another job, so he was staying with his brother. But he's been doing interviews nonstop. He's just interviewing. And then he started coming back on when he got a new contract for a tech job, right? Once he got the new contract, once he moved back to Miami, once he got a place to stay, then he started doing that. But yeah, like, he told me, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make some of the company meetings because it is essential for me to find a new tech job. Because if he doesn't find a new tech job within 6 months, he's going to get kicked out of the country, right? Because he's on a work visa. So for him, like, number one priority was getting a new tech contract. That's it. Like, so that he was heavily focused on that. And again, if you guys want, I can provide proof that he was looking for jobs, that he flew out to Seattle, that was staying there. All this stuff I have receipts for. So that's the thing. Now, fourth, had sex with a porn star. That one's interesting. And I think the argument you made, people have made all kinds of arguments when it comes to the porn star. Some people have said that he's outright paid her money. Some people say it was like leaving the wallet. Some people, like you, say looking to branch out. I actually have all the text conversations between them, which I'm going to show in a minute, which I can disprove a lot of these narratives. But in terms of looking to branch out, she fucked him after he was on the channel. We were super excited to have her back on. She didn't need to fuck any of us to get back on our channel. This is a situation that probably benefits us more than benefits her. Because at the end of the day, most of my subscribers are not going to pay for her OnlyFans. But if I have a hot porn star in my videos, that's going to reach a whole new audience. So the first time she came on was for speed dating. I was really fucking pumped right away. I was like, Indian P, let's get her for a real video, right? So I was like pushing him. And again, this is other things I can prove with screenshots, pushing her to do it. When we finally got here, I literally said, yo, don't make a move on her until we do the video, because I don't want anything to get fucked up. So she didn't even come to his house. She came straight to my house, right? We did several videos. Once the videos are done, then I'm like, do what you want. Go out with her, don't go out with her, whatever, right? And at that point, they went out. And you can also see this in the screenshots, how it happened. So, yeah, there's nothing really shady that happened there. He just wound up hooking up with her. I've had sex with porn stars. But, yeah, so, like, the whole timeline, I agree. If you're looking at it without having all the context, you may think like, oh, this is a little bit of a coincidence. When you have all that context, like the fact that we didn't get exposed for seeking, the fact that he had his contract expired, he needed a new contract, and the fact that the text interaction, which I'm going to shows you that basically there was no ulterior motive. And I guess if you want, we can just get into that text conversation, or I don't know if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, can I just respond to all the points? Just backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
He didn't get exposed for having a seeking arrangements profile. Like I said, you guys have been open about that for some time. But correct me if I'm wrong. I believe originally the idea was this was just a whole new uncharted territory of where to meet people, right? Like, why limit yourself to these 3 apps, right? You could go on here and you can meet up with some really high quality girls. So you guys have been open about that. But I think what the scandal, quote unquote, was what his bio actually said about the, $5 million net worth, $400K a year, willing to financially assist. And he even said, he spelled it out. He wasn't looking for pay per meet or whatever. I'll give you that. But the other thing that it said was not looking for anything that feels transactional. And that one word feels changes like everything. So to me, it seems like, I don't think that he's like, I agree with you, like it's Salt Daddy game or whatever. But I don't think it's game, right? So anything he pulls from seeking, I don't think you can consider that he got that from his game, because the motivation is clearly the potential to get something out of the deal, even if it's just gifts and trips and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't think it was just that he was using seeking.
Let me respond to everything you said. And these are good questions. So do you know roughly how many Salt Daddy lay reports or videos we have?
No, but I do know Indian P said most of his matches come from seeking, though. So that kind of
sure. But when we post yes. But when I make content, right? When I do videos, when I show you guys text game, we have 0 interactions come from Salt Daddy game. We don't do it because yes, I do understand that some people will look at it. It's like, oh, this is not pure game, which is why every single piece of content we have is based on Tinder, cold approach, whatever, right? So it's something that we both use in our personal life, but we don't like package it and make it seem like, oh, we're fucking these hot girls, because again, we're never bragging about it. We're never leveraging that in our videos. And believe me, we could, and that would benefit us a lot. So we're never like presenting it falsely. The second thing is you mentioned about his income. You said he had $5,500,000. Yeah, none of that was new information. I've said multiple times that when I first went on Seeking, I put my net worth at 10 million, and then I was fucking around with it. I decided to put 100 million. So that's just Salt Daddy game 101. You just say your income is really high. At one point, I had my net worth be like $100 million. And dude, you can fuck around with it a lot. Now, you can make an argument that's unethical, and that's definitely a discussion we can have, but it's definitely not any new information or anything that we're not front about. Now, you also have a point about how he says in his bio, even though he has no PPM, no transaction, he says financial assistance, whatever. So there's generally 2 types of game you can do on Seeking. I mainly talk about the first type, but I'm going to explain what the second type is. The first type is actually what I've been pretty much talking about, where you're just purely gaming the girl, like how you would on Tinder, and a girl who's on Seeking, right? So you're not doing anything differently, basically. The problem is that doesn't work on every girl. That works on a percentage of girls, maybe 10%, but it's not the majority of girls that works on. The second, which is the less ethical strategy, is, again, that's why we never publicly talk about, because we don't want to encourage it. And I personally don't even do this strategy anymore, is where you're kind of doing like hardcore Salt Daddy game, where you're basically leading the girls on a little bit into thinking that, hey, listen, if I fuck this guy really well, maybe down the line, he'll hook me up, right? That's the more extreme version of Salt Daddy game. But again, all of that we have in our bonus chapter for our guide. I mean, we have, we've had 1,000 people buy a product. Every single one of them has seen that. And we talk about that. The reason I don't publicly push that much is, again, because there's ethical issues with doing that. And so I don't want to really leverage that. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. So that whole thing, financial assistance available, is a key component of that second type of Salt Daddy game, where the girl thinks that maybe down the line something will happen. Now, where we draw the ethical line, or mainly in DMP, or I guess when I used to do this, is there's no promises of anything, right? So you're never promising the girl, hey, yeah, I'll give you this amount of money. It's always just like, so if the girl's like, hey, how's this going to work? I'll be like, listen, why don't we get together for a bottle of wine, and then we can discuss the other stuff next week, right? It's very loosey-loosey, right? But you're never promising her money. Right? And again, you can make an argument that's unethical, and that's a discussion we can have. But in terms of like that being something that exposed us or revealed about anything, this is what we've been doing for a while. We have a whole bonus chapter on this.
So what? I think kind of unethical, but I'm not like a social justice. Like I don't get into that like really overly liberal shit, but I think it's more dangerous than anything, right? Like if girls are sugar babies or whatever, like they deserve to get burned every once in a while. But what I think the danger is like, like if you come across one of these crazy ones that doesn't get paid, she doesn't get what she wants out of the deal, and in today's day and age, all she has to do is start acting crazy, making accusations. That would be my main fear with that for anybody.
Right. But we don't teach that. Except
right.
in the bonus chapter, but we never push that onto people. I personally never had anything happen. None of my friends have had anything happen. But yeah, I do think the odds, even though they're low, are higher with like a seeking girl than they are with like a Tinder girl, right? And I always say like, hey, what is your risk tolerance? What are you willing to do and what are you willing not to do? What I think the risk is, dude, I don't know, under 1%. But there's a risk. If you go through hundreds and hundreds of girls, yeah, you could get something along those lines. Now, there's other things that I would advocate that you can do to make sure that, you minimize the odds. But at the end of the day, that can happen with Tinder girl. Like maybe you lead a Tinder girl onto thinking that you want a relationship, but you just want to fuck and you disappear on her. It could happen on Tinder. It could happen in cold approach. But yeah, and then once again, like we are not preaching that. We're not teaching that, with the exception of the bonus chapter. We're not pushing it onto people. The stuff we're pushing on is like, this is how you maximize your photos. This is how you maximize your text game. This is how you blah, blah, blah. But it's not like, hey, I'm going to teach you guys how to trick a bunch of girls on seeking into fucking you, or how do you change your income. That's not something we talk about. It's just something we've done in our personal life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think another thing is like that increases the risk a little bit is that when you say that you're worth $5 million, you kind of put a target on your back for like these real vicious gold diggers, right? Like even if you did give them something, they might have it in their mind. They might plan to like try to do something. That would be my worry. But I get what you're saying.
It's a reasonable worry. I'm just curious. Have you ever done the Salt Daddy game? Have you ever done any of this?
No, I've never tried it.
Okay. So this is like a speculation, and it's a reasonable speculation. So I can tell you honestly that with me, I might have met up with, I don't know, let's say 100 girls from Seeking in my lifetime. I don't really know the numbers, probably around there. DMP probably has met up with like 300, 400 girls from Seeking. All my other friends have, who use it. So we probably have at least 1,000 meetups. None of us have had anything negative happen. Like so the odds are low. Where you get into trouble is when you promise something you don't deliver. So if you're like, hey, come over, hang out, and I'll give you like a Gucci bag, and then you don't give her a Gucci bag, right? The girl feels deceived. But the way we're kind of framing it, it's like, hey, we're not definitely going to do it. There's a possibility that if we like you, we will do it, right? So it's always like, yeah, we can talk about it next week. It's not like, yes, we're going to lock down money amount next week. So the girl, at the end of the day, you're giving yourself that plausible deniability, so that you don't actually have to give the girl money. So again, we've had probably me and my friends over 1,000 Seeking meetups, never had anything happen, but theoretically, sure, it could.
Yeah, I get you. So just to be clear, none of that is counting towards any claims of conquests from like quote unquote game, right? So like anything that you put, the 100 girls that you pulled, the 300 girls that he pulled from Seeking, none of that is being factored into like your illustrious lay count, which I think is bullshit anyway.
We never talk about our lay count. I mean, that's not something.
No. I mean, I think talking about the lay count is bullshit because there's so many other factors like quality and repeat business, and that I don't think lay count is even a legitimate stat anyway. So yeah, no, I get you on that.
Well, we might include it, but we'll clarify. So like, if you ask me what is your lay count, I'll be like, I don't know, I'm just guessing 400 maybe. That seems pretty reasonable. And then you're like, oh, where are you meeting these girls? I'd be like, well, I probably met 10% of them on Seeking, this many on Tinder, this many on Cold Approach, mainly it's online dating apps, right? For Indian P, he has also publicly clarified that. He said, yeah, the majority of girls I've slept with come from Seeking. He said that many, many times. So upfront about it. But then what people do is they just dismiss all the other girls he fucks from non-Seeking. He has banged dozens of girls from Cold Approach, dozens of girls from dating apps, right? You just take his lay count from dating apps and Cold Approach, he would be in the top 1% of men when it comes to a lay count. But yes, he said many times that, the majority of my lays have come from Seeking, maybe like 60% or something like that. For me, it's not a big percentage. For me, it's like 5%, 10% or something like that. It's under 10%. But yeah, we're always pretty clear and public about that.
How would you say the girls from Seeking compare to the girls from like Tinder that you meet up with? Like, I think it's probably a higher quality, right? Because these are like really hot sugar babies, like, so like that's a factor too, right? So
physically higher, personality wise lower. So the trade to me, the trade off is not worth it, because even if a girl's hot, I want to like when I was younger, I would just put up with whatever just to fuck a hot chick. But nowadays, like, I don't want that. If the girl's being a bitch, I don't even want to spend time with her. Like, I'll just be like, hey, I'm not feeling it, I'll take care. So for me, that's really why I don't do Seeking anymore, or haven't done it in ages. It's just like, I don't know. It's just the trade-off isn't worth it for me. But when I was younger, it was totally worth it, right? I get to fuck at 8 or 9, and I just have to deal with 15 minutes of nonsense. So physically, the quality on average is higher. Personality-wise, the quality on average is lower. But also, we're not really using, like, you'll never see me do a video where I'm with like a girl I met on Seeking, right? And I'm like trying to pretend like it's something else. Yeah, me and this girl, I met this chick on Tinder. we're always really upfront about like all aspects of our life. So
yeah. So if I could just stay on this for 1 minute, like, I get what you're saying. So you said that when this so-called scandal happened, where this was quote unquote revealed, you said that your business didn't take any hit, and I'm glad to hear that. But do you think your credibility or Indian P's credibility took a hit overall? And would you, if you could go back and have that whole thing not be released, like, the guy Noah or whoever said it, tell him not to go on the stream, like, if you could take it back and go back in time, would you prefer that didn't get out and that people weren't talking about that like for like 2 months straight?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have to put things in perspective. It wasn't like there was like big content creators talking about it. It wasn't like most of my chat was revolting. It was a few tiny black belt channels that were talking about it. And those channels were talking about us way before this whole thing happened. I honestly don't really give a shit. When we have our company meetings every Thursday, it was briefly brought up on the company meeting, and we're all kind of laughing about it. We're like, what the fuck is going on? We dedicated like close to 0% of our energy to that. Now, one thing that I do try to do sometimes, although I think it's a waste of time, is when people make false accusations I can easily disprove, I just upload all the original screenshots. But I've noticed that with the black pillars, it doesn't even work. So I'll upload like people like, oh, no way you met this girl on Hinge. And then like we'll upload all the screenshots from start to finish. They'll be like, oh, those can easily be fake. We're like, all right, well, here's a screen recording, right? It's a lot hard to fake that. Oh, but you probably said something right after the screen recording ended. Like, there's no amount of proof that we can show that will satisfy the hardcore skeptics. We had, this was an interesting one. I don't know if you remember this. This dude sent us a very nice testimonial. We screenshot it and we put it on the community tab. And a whole bunch of black pillars were like, this is fake, bro. This is cap. So
the threesome guy?
We actually had the guy himself go and comment. Yeah. And then we included a screen recording showing that, hey, this is where it comes up. And the hardcore skeptics are still going to be, it's fake. So I've just realized there's a certain percentage of people that you can't change their mind. They're not interested in hearing the truth. They have a narrative, which is that we're massive scammers, we're pieces of shit, and they want to basically stick to that narrative no matter what. So that's kind of is what it is. But to answer your question, no, I really wouldn't care.
It kind of goes with the game, right? So like, as I said, like, I think most people, I don't know if you would agree that most quote unquote dating coaches, pickup artists are full of shit. I mean, so like, You want to
Well,
you want to get
I
this much.
publicly said that many times too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like, if you were a history teacher, you want to be dealing with shit like that. And yeah, I did see the post with the guy with the threesome. Yeah, I totally believe it. I think there are too many questions, like, what quality were the girls, and what did the guy look like? I mean, there's other things you could ask, but what stood out to me, I don't think that he was lying. What stood out to me is he said that he was following your instructions, your game, and one of the biggest things that you're about, if I remember correctly, is like the logistics. And this dude forgot that he booked 2 dates back to back at the same spot. I just thought that was funny. I believe it. I just think it was. And you got to understand too, like, it is kind of a far-fetched story. I mean, it does make you raise your eyebrow and question it a little bit. And I think when you're talking about, nothing personal against you, but like dating coaches in general, I think people usually have their guard up, and that was just one of them. Was like maybe too good to be true. So yeah, I did see that though.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to like healthy skepticism, but there's like a reasonable amount of skepticism. Like if we can show you the screen recording of the conversation, we actually have that guy himself commenting. Like at that point,
Yeah.
probably take it at face value. But yeah, I mean, people who follow my advice forget to execute part of it all the time, and it's like countless. Like, yo, bro, I followed your advice and this happens. I'm like, actually, you didn't follow that part of my advice. So that to me is like not surprising at all. I guess my question would be with the Clara situation. Now that we've kind of elaborated and talked about it a little bit more, and you can be brutally honest, what do you think happened? Purely with Clara.
So I think with Clara, like I said, I had some speculation about, like, maybe, because it is the new popular thing, right? You got the Fresh and Fit and whatever the other whatever podcast, like every time you turn around, you have a new dating podcast and shit. So I think it's like the new hot thing, and I kind of think, like, I think she was maybe branching out, and maybe that's why she came on your channel. I don't think that was why she hooked up with PE. I don't think that that's the case. My main point bringing up the Clara thing is, well, actually, I have a couple points. The first one is that, regardless of whether it was like just, straight business, or if it was, just having fun, you kind of did. I mean, it could kind of be used as like a PR move, right? Like, not that you planned it, but since it happened, I might as well, reveal the information and let everybody know. And I know, like, it probably didn't, like, you didn't make a big announcement on your website or something like that, but it came out, and the timing, like, when you take any one of these points, like, on their own, you can kind of shoot holes in them a little bit. But the fact that they're all linked, like all the 4 timeline things, like, it kind of seems like, number one, the seeking thing, whether it was right or wrong, it was kind of like a mess that you guys had to clean up.
Well, I got to stop you right there. There was no mess for us. No, we didn't do any videos addressing it. We paid it close to zero attention. They exposed us on something that we've probably talked about a million times. There was no exposing that happened. There's no my fans weren't like talking to me about it in our chat. It was a few niche, tiny Black Pill channels that were covering that, but there was no mess at all. I've had legit messes that I've had to clean up, like the Johnny Anthony situation. That was a fucking mess. I had to spend a lot of time, dealing with that. But this wasn't like that. This wasn't a mess. This was just some random thing, some random Black Pillar said.
Yeah, well, okay. So let me ask you this though, and I'm keeping an open mind and everything. I'm not, I'm perfectly willing to change my mind. So why did he redo the bio? Why did he change his profile? Because to me, if there was no problem with what he said, if what, financial assistance, why did he change it to not say any of that stuff? Because he has a new profile now, right?
Did he change his profile? I don't know. Can you show me what the profile is?
Well, I don't have it, but he went from Brown Daddy to Helpful Stud.
Oh, okay. I can explain. So he when he was going to Seattle, he created a fresh seeking account for Seattle, right? Because I think he wanted to keep his main account in Miami. So it was purely because of the fact that he was going to Seattle. And I believe now he's back to his original account. Don't quote me on this. I don't know exactly. But
yeah, he's back. I got it.
I know that for a fact that it was because he was going to Seattle and he wanted to like have a fresh profile in Seattle.
Okay. All right, yeah, like I said, I'm just, the point of my comment was really just that it was like it just seemed, I don't want to say suspicious, but it seemed like convenient, because I wouldn't blame you if that thing happened with the seeking, and then you're running a business. I would think that you would want to do some damage control. And I know you didn't make any videos addressing it, but like P was in the comments arguing with people, and like there was a lot of back and forth
Well,
with
he's
that stuff.
always
Like,
arguing with people. By the
yeah,
way,
yeah,
as a side note, I literally have a new rule, which is that Indian P, Greg aren't allowed to argue with people in the comments. So every time he argues in the comments, I give him shit for it. And this is actually way before this. For the last half a year, I've been giving him shit for arguing with people in the comments. I'm like, dude, there's so many people saying good things. Just respond to those. We don't have to argue with these dweebs.
yeah. He's one of my favorite sparring partners. Honestly, he knows me better than you do. We always go back and forth. So yeah, I know that's true.
But yeah, so I guess my question would be: will you concede that Clara primarily banned Indian P for non-financial reasons?
Well, I mean, I can't really. There's really there's no evidence that she didn't, but there's also no evidence that she did. But the thing is, like the other stuff.
I was going to say, let me go ahead and provide that evidence then. So let me show you all the screenshots from start to finish. I think that that could be very useful. Okay. I got every fucking screenshot, so it might take us a few minutes, guys, but I don't want to be accused of leaving shit out. So, okay. Is that showing up for you?
Give me one second, Alex. Hold on.
Do your thing, man. No worries. Just let me know when you're back. You guys are going to get an exclusive. You're going to see the full texting sequence leading up to the bang.
All right, I'm back.
All right, cool. So yeah, so I'm going to show all the whole conversation leading up to the bang. We're going to show you guys everything. So there's a misconception that exists is that he met her on Seeking. No, like he met her through a mutual friend of ours. Hey, Clara, this is Nitin. I'm a friend of, just ignore his name. He said you were interested in coming on speed dating episode soon. So yeah, one of our mutual friends who gets a lot of pussy. We asked him, hey, can you find some girls for speed dating? He reached out to her. She said, yeah, I might be down. And then so yeah, clearly not Seeking. Hi, Nitin, of course. You free Thursday, 8 p.m. I will be in LA. I have a shoot, so that should work. But let me ask my agent first what time will be done. Sounds good. It's 8 p.m. I'm just going to kind of go fast on the stuff that's not really interesting, but we'll go through everything. Okay, yes, I have nothing booked, but I'll be staying in a hotel in Oklahoma. Okay, yes, we can do that then. Okay, sorry, call me on the busiest time of the year. Haha, I've been looking forward to it. No worries, haha. Hey, are you available tomorrow? Yes, what time? 8 p.m. EST. Okay. How long do you think it'll take? No rush. We'll go for 1.5 hours. There'll be another girl on the stream. Okay, no problem. Okay, sounds like fun. So people will have an option to go with either of you. Okay, awesome. Gonna make the thumbnail then tonight. Yeah, sorry if this is a little boring, guys, but I think it's essential. So we go through everything. Which picture were you thinking? I'm not really picky. All right, I'll choose then. You can use any picture. Here's the link to join. You got one of these too. Okay, let's keep going. This is the backlink to join. Haha, we texted at the same time. Coincidence, crazy. So he was just telling her what photos we're going to be using. I was going to use this or fate. So here he starts flirting with her a little bit. He's like, I was going to use this. And she says, coincidence or fate. Cute, yes. Okay, what's the podcast called? Perfect. We'll create the thumbnail next hour. So I'll promote it on my Insta story and Twitter, Playing with Fire. I will send you the front link once we get the thumbnail. Okay. It's going to start becoming a little bit more flirty. So you could directly plug the front link for people to watch. Okay, sounds good. What's your podcast? Okay. Haha, I literally thought you were saying Playing with Fire. Cute. LOL. So she's being a little flirty. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so speed dating show, 8 p.m. Guys will have, that's so fun. My fans will love that. And after 5 minutes, you and the host, guys, give feedback on what they could improve. Okay, we're about halfway done. Bear with us. Ends will also come on if they're into shot. Yes, 8 p.m. So here's the link. You can promote this on your IG. Make sure you have Chrome downloaded on your laptop. Okay, this is the bank link. Did you download Chrome? Downloading right now. So here's just logistics basically, but it's going to get good soon. Okay, just logistics, technical shit. Okay, I think this is where it brings it back. Ready in 30 minutes. Yes. Are you on already? You can join the bank link. Are you able to see the host? Thanks. You hope I didn't ruin the show. Okay, so here's after the show. This is 11:20. So this is after the show is over. Thank you. Hope I didn't ruin the show. Oh, she's so cute. Not at all. We loved having you. Hope you have fun. So much fun. Thank you. Haha. Some people are like, wow, you would do podcasts, but you wouldn't go on mine. Interesting. But first podcast experience ever. So that was her first experience ever. By the way, the video she did with me was her first YouTube video ever. First of many. Too bad I didn't get to speed date you. So here's where he like starts amping up the flirting. Oh my God, yes, in the future, would love to speed date you. So you can see it's like a very positive response, right? So that's why he keeps going. Sounds good, huh? I'd rather speed date in person. You do live in Miami, right? I live in Fort Lauderdale. No distance is too much for a quick drink. So starting to get a little flirty. True. And here I actually had him ask this question because at the time, a lot of people in the comments were accusing me of like saying that Stephon did the best, and like I just like whatever. We didn't give him the credit that he's due. So we had him ask the girl this directly. Who was your overall first choice from yesterday's speed dating? Haha, liked everyone. Everyone was super nice. If you had to pick one, hope you remember your top 3 guys or something. Haha, Alex, Marcus, and Johnny, which is exactly what I said it was. But yeah, so there's first-hand evidence there. When I posted the screenshot, people were like, you pressured her into saying that, but you can see I didn't really bring it up at all.
Well, no. Can I stop you for a second, Alex? I don't mean to interrupt, but
yeah, go ahead.
A few texts back, she said, I hope I didn't ruin the show. And I don't think you pressured her after to give an answer, but I think your reaction to her saying that Stephon was her favorite. I mean, I saw that stream and I watched that part back. She did particularly mention him. She said, the guy that didn't want to share his camera, the guy that mentioned, whatever, Care Bears or whatever. And, you seemed almost disgusted by that choice, right? Like you seemed like you were blown away and you were trying to.
Well, I was very surprised because even like anyone who was in the live chat can confirm, everyone was saying, oh, he's going to get rejected. No, Stephon, it's not going to work. So I had the same reaction as 80% of the chat. We thought that he was going to get a no. And he got a yes. Good for him. But yeah, I was just surprised, honestly, because I felt I will die on this hill. I feel like his game was inferior to a lot of other people. So that's why I was surprised,
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I think because she doesn't know the characters of the stream, right? The regulars. I think maybe when you acted surprised, it may have been because you thought his game was shitty. But I think maybe she may have been under the impression that like there was something else wrong with him, like based on your reaction. And that's kind of what I got, because then like she came around pretty quickly, like she changed her mind pretty quickly.
Well, there's actually something very interesting that happened, which I feel like a lot of people are glossing over. So at first, she said, "Oh, this guy with the camera off or whatever," right? And then I'm like, "Oh, really? That guy?" She's like, "Yeah, the guy in Indiana." I'm like, "They're two different people. That's Johnny." And she's like, "Yeah, Johnny." So she, without us pressing her, she changed her answer. So I think what happened is that she got Stephon confused with Johnny, right? She's been on for 2.5 hours. It's kind of get shit confused. But she literally changed her answer like mid-sentence. She was like, yeah, the guy in Indiana. Well, that's Johnny. That's not Stephon. Yeah, him.
Yeah, but Alex, how can you get confused between, like, you could easily confuse where someone's from, right? You could confuse whether I'm from Indiana or Pennsylvania. But how could you get confused the guy who didn't want to share his camera? Like, she might have been confused, and when she said Indiana, but she really might have meant. And I'm not like advocating for Stephon or anything. I think he has a very unique style. I don't, a lot of monologue, a lot of words.
Did you think?
I think he's good. I think he's decent.
Did you think during that one speed date, Stephon had good game?
I think a lot of game, and this is what I was kind of saying towards the beginning. I think a lot of game is just having good conversation and being a relatively normal person, especially in a situation like that where it's a lot of pressure. I think to be able to, formulate clear thoughts is kind of impressive when there's 200 people or 100 people watching, whatever. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like great. It's not anything that I would like put in a book or anything like that. But I think he has a decent grasp on, more so than like game is game. But I think he has more of a like just being able to talk to people thing. And I think
Let
that
me rephrase the question. Who do you think had
yeah.
better game, Johnny or Stefan?
I like Johnny. I do. I think Johnny's.
So he
I don't
did
want to
better.
word this. No, I want to word this correctly. Like
Okay.
Johnny does a lot of that. Like, oh, she's so adorable stuff. Which is I don't want to say anything. I like Johnny. I think he's a cool dude. But I think he does a lot of that stuff. That you're so beautiful, you're so pretty. Like kind of. Yeah, I don't know what I would categorize that as without sounding mean, but yeah, I think he's a cool dude. I think he has decent game, but I think he does a lot of that stuff that I probably would advise not to do. So
Wait, so that doesn't actually answer the question. Like, who do you personally believe had better game during that stream, Johnny or Stefan?
well, it's not really my choice. I don't
Well,
remember
just
the performance.
in your opinion, personal opinion. I know it's not the girl's
Yeah,
choice. Your personal opinion.
yeah, I would probably go with Stefan based on
Really?
I know. Well, because and to be fair, it's because the girl said that Stefan was her favorite. That's
But no,
why I
no.
lean that way.
So I want you to, for this hypothetical, completely ignore what the girl said. I just want look. I show you
Yeah.
Stefan's speed date. I show you Johnny's speed date. You don't even get to see the girl's reaction. Just personally,
Okay.
based on your intuition, who do you think had better social skills? Who do you think had better game? Who do you think turned the girl on more between those two?
I think if now, like I said, now to be fair, I don't really remember word for word. I really don't remember the dates, but I would say Johnny is more like I said, the kind of like I think he said like she had an adorable vibe or something. Like he's like a really a nice guy. It's a perfect way to say his game. He's a nice guy. And Stefan, I don't think he's like following like the mystery method or anything like that. But I think he's a smart guy. I think he's able to.
He's not a smart guy. Stefan is a
Well,
bully.
he's the educated Tyrone, so obviously he has some intelligence. I mean, no, like seriously though, he is whatever you think about him, he is like kind of thoughtful or whatever. Like he has an intelligence. He's able to have a conversation, like aside from just like what the situation is. Like that's what I get from his quote unquote game. But it's okay to have a disagreement. That was
Yeah, I mean, I think Michelle also had the same interpretation as me. Look, why don't we do this? Let's get through like this main debate, and then afterwards, I'll actually pull up both clips. We can watch them together, and then we can
okay.
kind of evaluate. And then, yeah. But look, can I prove that I didn't indirectly influence her? No. I personally, I would bet that I don't think I'm going to influence a girl enough to change her answer just by making one offhand comment, but I can't prove it. So yeah, anyway, but what we can do is again, we can watch both of them and we can let the chat decide who they think performed better. I think it's going to be a no-brainer, but yeah. So let's just put it on the back burner.
And I'll keep an open mind too. Like I said, I don't remember the exact dates.
Yeah,
but
I'll as we go through it, I'll specifically point out what I think was good and what was bad. So that might be
okay. All right.
Okay. Anyway, so let's keep going. Everyone was super nice. How makes sense. Anyway, I want to ask you something else. Okay. Alex had an idea of a collab. Alex was thinking that would be interesting to have a porn star on and explain some sex tips to our viewers. Here's an example, one we did a month ago that got almost 500,000 views. You could definitely plug your IG, which I think would drive a lot of traffic to your OnlyFans. Let me know what you think. Here we go. Okay, sounds good. Very interesting. Y'all are really nice and easy to work with, so I definitely don't mind doing another video thingy with y'all. Sounds good. You're a lot of fun to work with as well. Do you have some time next week for doing this video when you're back in town? I'll be busy next 2 weeks, May 21 to 27. Okay, cool. We can lock in May 22nd, 8 p.m. Lubin the deal. Okay, so here's where he starts flirting with her a little bit more. Good things ahead. Going to add you into our calendar then. What day? Okay, May 22nd. Yes, May 22nd, 8 p.m. Okay. Perfect. Flying in 3 days, so ready to be home. Haha. Welcome back to my state. So ready to be back. How's Miami? It's missing some Clara, of course. So yeah, this is where he kind of steps up the flirting. Sweetness overload. Your iPhone has a case of diabetes already from that text. Not the best joke. But
I was just going to say, I don't want to interrupt, but I mean, you're not blowing me away yet. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, the point I'm making is that he starts flirting with her before, like leading up to the thing. Literally, and it's also a good idea. Like people can see his text game. Our drink state is still on after you do the drinks. By the way, keep that in mind. So yeah, you can see that the date was already kind of set up beforehand. Oh my God, sounds good. By the way, when do you get back to Florida? Flying in a few hours and then arriving tomorrow morning. Long flight, damn girl. I think we should have our date this weekend. I'm coming back from teaching a retreat on Wednesday. Our speed date thing. Yeah, I'm busy this weekend. I thought you wanted it after the podcast. So yeah, more talk about the date. Okay, so here we go. There's some more stuff. Speed day thing. I thought you want to after the podcast thing, or you could grab a quick lunch before the podcast. Yes, after. That's why I mistook for this week. Reconfirm 22nd though. You would drive to us. Okay, 8 p.m. Okay, here's just more like stuff about the thing. We're almost done with this. Oh gosh, I'm not the best in sex, but she's a porn star. She's like, I'm not the best in sex. But is the podcast virtual again or in person? It's in person. It's not podcast, it's a video. Have you checked this video out? How I'm giving tips. Either I ask you the questions or Alex makes sense. Haha, I'm so dumb. LOL. Okay. I have not. I've been so busy, but okay, I got it. So she's pretty flirty. Haha, all good. See you next week. Hey, Claire, do you have a cop outfit by any chance? So this is for the for one of the videos we're doing. Well, hi, no. Haha, okay. Okay. What is your size? So we just decided to order her like a $30 one on Amazon for that video I did. What's the size? We're actually order one. Haha, little small or extra small. Damn, she's tiny. Cool. Order the small. Haha. Will you drive to us on Monday or need an Uber? Well, actually, Uber sounds nice. You got it. Be sure to be ready by 7:20 p.m. Monday. Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow, Claire. Okay. Almost done. Nothing else. Is there anything I need to bring? Nothing else. Just dress super cute. Okay. Send me a pickup address whenever. Oh. Please, no one be creepy. I should have blurred that. I'll probably blur it later. Be ready around 7:15. Okay. Ready in 15. I don't know what to wear. So again, so more back and forth, and then it's almost over. What are the options? Like heels or no, a crop top and skirt maybe, or just a casual chill dress. Okay, got it. So here, just a little bit more back and forth. Okay, so here's just logistics. Coming down. Did you see him? Yes, thank you. See you soon. Thank you. No worries. So yeah, so basically, like hopefully, I think this definitively proves that. Leading up to this, like he was trying to flirt with her, and she was receptive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever think that was my point. I like I said, all of the points that I made were like tied together, right? So like when you isolate one of them, it doesn't quite work the way that I had intended it. But when you look at them as a whole, so like I'm not saying that. My claim was never that he was paying her or that he really didn't hook up with her. My claim was that after all the headache of the scandal and all that quote unquote scandal, that you guys leveraged it as a
But there
PR
was
rehabilitation move. That was my point. So
right, but the point kind of falls flat because there's no scandal, or at the very least we didn't care about. Like a scandal was when I had the thing with John Anthony. A scandal was when Chad did a video, or that was like a mild scandal. This wasn't a scandal. This was like 2 or 3 black bill channels who no one cares about talking about something that we've been upfront about. That's why we didn't even give it like 1 ounce of attention to cover it. We're like, dude, you didn't expose us on anything. We've been super public about the fact that you're seeking for ages. So yeah, so there was no scandal there. I think that's the first thing. Second thing, in terms of him disappearing, again, I can, I've told you, and I can prove it too, that he flew to, he had this whole job thing. I mean, he was like really stressed out, bro, because again, if he doesn't get a job within 6 months, he has to leave the country.
Yeah.
That's the last thing he wants to do. He was super stressed about that. He was working nonstop, had absolutely nothing to do with the whole whatever. And the Clara thing is, I just showed the screenshots. You can see that like she's flirting. He's flirting with her back. They already had the date set up. Nothing about it feels like, like, hey, I'm going to give you money, blah, blah, blah. This is just a guy flirting with a girl that he met through social circle. Will you at least acknowledge that?
Oh yeah, I'm willing to. I mean, like I said, there's it's proof, right? It's proof that he didn't say anything that like proves anything otherwise. But that was, like I said, that wasn't my claim. And I put the word scandal in quotation marks. I don't think it was like a scandal, truly like a devastating scandal. But to be fair, I mean, and the second point about him disappearing, I totally understand. He had to look for a new job. I get that. And that's none of my business anyway. But to be fair, I wasn't the one that came up with that theory. There were plenty of people going around saying that he was dodging streams. He wasn't coming on anymore because he was scared to get cornered and asked about the seeking stuff. And I mean, I heard it on several occasions. And someone even said that you advised him not to go on and go on streams anymore or talk about it for his own mental health.
No,
that's not my words. That's
pure cap. His mental health was fine. I never advised him not to go on a stream. Let me just quickly address this comment. It's a silly comment. Alex, you didn't show the message talked on other platforms, probably seeking. Like I said, this was social circle. If you go through the first text, it's like, hey, Arthur told me to text you. So you saw the whole thing. There's no other platforms. It started off as social circle. Indian P got her number from our mutual friend Arthur, and you can literally see that in the first message. So you got to pay attention a little bit more, my man. Look, at the end of the day, I'm debating you. I'm not debating some other random people in the comments. So I don't care about what other people say. I care about what your opinion is and what you have to say, right? For the point of this debate, at least.
Yeah, so, no, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm saying like over the last, like while Indian P was away in Seattle or whatever, like I don't monitor all of his appearances or anything like that. But like people were saying that he wasn't coming on streams anymore. And that kind of thing. So it wasn't like I just made that theory up. It was rumors that people were spreading.
Right.
So if that's not true, and I believe you that he was looking for a job, but
people say all kinds of dumb shit. I mean, people say that I don't know, that Natty's like a paid actress, that I'm just paying her money, or that like I'm secretly getting cut, or that like I don't know, just all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, do you want me to show you proof about this?
Yeah, ridiculous.
You'd like to see that?
No, not at all. That's his personal business. I believe you 100%.
Okay, so you do.
But what I'm saying is, like, when I put that bullet point, I believe you that he was, out of work, lost his job, and was looking for new work. I believe that. What I'm saying is, like, you called what I said a conspiracy. Now that third bullet point where he disappears, that was not information that I came up with on my own. It was people saying that he disappeared and that he was avoiding streams, and you told him not to. So that's not true. Like I said, I believe you, but like that wasn't my, like, I didn't invent that conspiracy.
No, I understand, but you are responsible. And look, like. I'm super chill. I'm not gonna ban you. I'm not gonna like fucking pull a John and sue you, right? With me, there's really no consequences. The worst that I can do is just challenge you to debate. But you are responsible for the stuff you say, even if it comes from someone else. So, for example, if I say Ennis is a serial killer, well, how do you know that? Well, I heard it in these comments. Yeah. A lot of people are saying he's a serial killer, and I start going on my stream and saying you're a serial killer. You can't sue me for defamation, and you will win. Right? Because even though someone else said it, it doesn't excuse me repeating it. So that's the issue. Now, if your comment was like, oh, this one guy said, and then you put in quotes, that's a little different, but you didn't do that. You just basically took what you've been hearing and you presented your information.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to say that I'm innocent for saying it. I take responsibility for saying it. My point is that it was being said by a lot of people. And then I think like when I said it, it was like, I think Indian P said like, that's pretty low of me for saying that. Like, but there were like 10 live streams before that, like for like 2 weeks where people were saying he was dodging strings. So like, I take responsibility for me saying it, but I don't think that there's any responsibility on the other people who were saying it. So that was just my point.
Well,
But
look,
I believe his situation, and
I use the word responsibility pretty loosely because at the end of the day, I made peace years ago with the idea that people will say all kinds of wacky, crazy fucking shit about me. And it's just one of the components of being a content creator, right? There's pros and cons, and this is one of the cons. And honestly, I don't really care. If I feel like it's a valid point that needs to be addressed, I will address it. If I feel like it's just a bunch of like conspiracy shit, then I'm not going to address it. Or maybe I will ingest. So I guess so. Yeah, there were some black pillars who were saying it, right? Maybe even non-black pillars, but in the grand scheme of things, like the vast majority of people weren't like talking about this like a real scandal. Like, you know what happened with Fresh and Fit lately with him putting on the hood? Like the Fresh and Fit audience is talking about that, right? The majority of my audience wasn't talking about the fact that Indian P didn't go, on the stream for a few weeks. So I guess now that I've given you all this information, will you concede that maybe that you didn't have all the information at the time, and now with this new information, you change your perspective?
On the one point, I will say, right. So 2 points.
Okay.
The Indian P disappears, right, and I'm not going to take back the fourth thing because I really didn't say that he paid Clara or that she didn't hook up with him. I basically was just saying that it was convenient timing that like this thing that was out there that could have potentially hurt his reputation, the seeking thing, and then something that I think maybe can be used to kind of rebuild his reputation a little bit. So I still stand by that one.
Ennis, let's go through them one at a time.
The third thing about him,
sorry, you said there's four things. Let's just go through them one at a time. So start off with the first thing.
Okay. So the first thing is that he gets, it's revealed that his seeking arrangements profile says that he's worth $5 million, $400K annually. He's not interested in pay for meat, but he's willing to financially assist, and he's not interested in anything that feels transactional. So I understand where you're coming from at Salt Daddy Game, and you don't, include that in your results of testimonials and lay reports and everything like that. But let me ask you this, Alex. Do you think that it's a good move for a dating coach to like, because I feel like with all the doubt that surrounds dating coaches, don't you guys kind of have to be like above reproach? Like, would you like, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's just a risk that I want, like, because now I feel like, I mean, regardless of what you say, I think, I don't know if there's a way that we could tell, but I think most people are questioning Indian P's skills because of that. And, that was my point on that, is that there was an issue that you guys, looked bad on you guys, and you had to do some, the second point is that you guys went into damage control. I understand the part about blocking people who were trolls and saying crazy, wild, fucked up shit. I get that part. But I think you were also doing some explaining of it. Indian P was in the comments, arguing and explaining his point. I think you went on Marcus Wolf's stream and talked to Ganstar about it. Like there was some.
Well, the only reason we have to provide the context. The only reason I talked to Ganstar about it is because he asked me a direct question. I'm not going to like refuse to answer questions. But the only reason, again, I talked about it on that stream is because Ganstar was asking me, so I wanted to answer his question. But let's just run through this.
Go
ahead.
Yeah. So the third thing is Indian P disappears. So like I said, I believe you 100%, and I hope you get a job, or if you already found one, like that's none of my business. But yeah, good. So my thing was that wasn't an accusation. That was just like, if it was me and people were saying that shit about me, I probably would lay low too. So I wasn't saying that like it was a bad thing. like I said, it's just when you connect the four dots, that's when it seems suspicious to me. So like anything on their own, other than maybe the seeking thing, I don't find the problem with. So, and like I said, this was a lot of people saying this. They were saying that he was avoiding streams. He's done with PWF. He's avoiding coming on Greg's stream because someone is going to ask him about seeking, and he's going to make it worse by saying something else. Like that was what was being said, and I
Dude,
believe you that it,
he's
wasn't the
he's
case.
going to be on very soon. And but there's one thing that you said that I want to make sure I understood you. So are you saying
Yeah.
that you no longer believe everything with the possible exception of the seeking ethical issue? Is that correct, or did I mishear you?
So the seeking, I still have a major problem with. I understand your points about the Salt Daddy game and everything, but I feel like that throws everything into question for me.
What
And
what
let
what
me,
specifically do you have a problem with?
well, leading with the wallet, saying that you're going to financially assist, whether you do or don't, I think that changes the motivation. So, regardless of what you say, what happens, right? It's not his game. His game is not what's pulling those girls. So that is my main thing. As long as you contend that any girls that are pulled off of seeking arrangements are not due to his advanced game, which is what you guys coach, then I'm all good with that. There's no scandal whatsoever. But I feel like it caught, like, especially you said the girls are way higher quality too, so that draws into question the regular old Tinder matches. Like, what are they, like, 4s and 5s, and the seekings
No,
are
and
7 and 8?
we've shown no, that's not fair. We've shown photos, videos, lay reports with Tinder girls. There's about a
Right.
bazillion of them on my website. In terms of you said
All right,
that
so
wait, you said something. You said about the it throws. Oh, you said that like that's not because of advanced game. Well, it's never black and white, right? Like
yeah,
it could be a combination of both. It could be a combination of the fact that she thinks you have a lot of money and the fact that you have a really good game, right? There's a lot of people on that website who have a lot of money, more than whatever, who will actually send girls money without even needing them. So there's a lot of really simply rich guys on this website. So you do need to stand out in
yeah.
some way, right? And game, good photos is one of the ways you stand out if you want to meet like the girls who are just like the most in demand. But then again, like I've said, we never use that as part of our advertising or part of our marketing. And if we do, we tell people about it. Like, yeah, we met this girl on Seeking. But on our whole website, like pretty much every layer report, all the videos I've done, they're all Tinder, Cold Approach, or other dating app type of layer reports. We're not like saying, yo, I just banged this hottie, leaving everything out and making you guys think that I met her on Tinder when in reality I met her on Seeking.
Yeah.
Also, I'm trying
Well,
to
so
actually,
here's the thing, Alex. Like, can you hear me?
yeah, I'm just trying to pull up actually my bonus course for Seeking because I think it will put a lot of these issues to rest. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So, like, here's the thing. I don't care about receipts. Like, everybody makes a big deal out of receipts. Everybody makes a big deal out of, the quality. All I want to see is the game, right? Because that's what you're selling, is the game.
Well, we
So
have, but we
when
have
I
plenty of
see,
them.
like, regardless of the, yeah, but everything I've seen, man, like, to be honest, like, regardless of what the outcome is and what kind of girls it pulls, right? I don't see the game. Like, that's all I need to see. Like, regardless of whether he hooks up with the girls or
Yeah,
not, I've never seen any real good game.
okay.
Yeah.
So let me show you some. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let's go to your channel. Let's go to my videos. Okay, so this was asking girls for the Cynthias. This one is more just funny. Although I do get, actually no, it was after. Okay, never mind. 6 worst first date stories from girls. So I got a girl's phone number from here. Again, it wasn't like my most impressive game. It was just more for lulz. Okay, here's a pretty technical dating advice video. So you're going to see game here. Let's see. You're going to see game here. How to sex like a pro. I show you my screenshots. Not
Whoa,
yeah.
whoa, whoa. So the sexing, yeah, the sexting stuff is like my biggest issue with you guys. Like it's really hard to do it well. It
Wait, but
always comes off as like forced and cringy,
I'm totally down to talk to you about that. But like,
Yeah.
let's just keep it on topic and then just write that down, and we can like cover it once we get through this whole thing. Because I want to address your
Okay.
issue, which is that like you're not seeing the game. Okay, 10 difficult texts girls will send you and how to handle them. You're seeing game there. You're seeing game here. Me approaching girls. You're seeing text game here. You're seeing text game here. You're seeing text game here.
But Alex, you're pointing out you're pointing out instances where you showed some kind of game, but I'm saying whether the game was good or not good. Like I can't tell. Like I know you make a lot of content about game.
Well, what about
show
like
a lot of text
videos?
Game that you got?
Which game are you doubting? Is it my text game or my cold approach game?
Well, I would say probably I would lean towards the text game. I think it's
yeah, that one's
really, for both you and Indian PE.
Well, that one.
Yeah, I know that's what you're famous for.
Yeah, so that one's really easy to reprove. So here, it's have you been to our website?
I think so, once or twice.
Yeah, so here we have, this is a chick I hooked up with, and you get to see all the screenshots from opener to close. Okay, this one I believe is only for members. So this is all members stuff only. It just shows up because I log in. But if you log in on your own thing, that will show up. Okay, here's more text game. Here's more text game. You get to see the whole thing. This is my old business partner, David Swift. Here's more text game. And you can see the girls. Here's more text game. Here's more text game. This one's actually more just a story, so let's just ignore the last one. Here's more text game. Again, the whole thing. This is when Craigslist was a thing. But yeah, a type of text game is here. This is cold approach. Here we have text game. Again, you can see all the screenshots. And I'll just, to put it in perspective, I'll show you how many screenshots there are. There's a fucking shitload, man. I'll show you guys the whole thing. I even uploaded my voice memos. I can't scroll all the way down because it's an ass pic of hers. So, but you guys can check that out on your own. So here's more text games. Here's more text game. Here's more text game. This is David's. There's more text game. Here's more text game. And again, the whole thing from start to finish, we show you guys.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not saying that you don't show examples.
Here's more text game. Here's more. I mean, dude, it goes like this for days. We show you countless text game. I mean, like, I don't know what more I could do.
No, I'm saying you do show text game. I'm not saying that you don't, but everything that I've seen, like, it is possible. Like, if you pull the girl, right, that's the main objective. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the game was good, right? Like, on the contrary, like someone could run perfect game and not get the girl in the end. So what I'm saying is a lot of the examples, even though you show plenty of examples of girls that you pull and what text game was used to pull them, like my main thing is that's the main selling point, regardless of what your receipts are, is the actual game. And when I look at the text game of Indian PE and you, I I mean, I'm not the world's foremost expert, but it doesn't seem like it's not good. Like that's all I really need to see is like the actual, like, do you have an example of like where you absolutely killed it in, like, ran perfect game in a text?
Yes, all the stuff I just showed you.
Well, you're basic. See, that was one of the things I said in the email. You what was it? I think it wasn't the timeline thing, but you don't, what is the word I'm looking for? Like correlation versus causation, right? You assume that if you are successful, that the game was successful, and you assume that if you weren't successful, that the game wasn't as good.
Well, I'd be happy to go through every single one of those layer reports and you can point out where you feel like I made a suboptimal move. I was gonna get to that later because I wrote that down for later. But I'd be happy to go through every single one of these layer reports with you, and you can tell me where you think I ran suboptimal game. But the initial thing I was trying to answer is like, hey, you don't show text game, and that's like fundamentally not true. I show massive amounts of text game, like massive. more than like 99% of other dating coaches. I show a good amount of cold approach, right, from start to finish. I show speed dates. I've done speed dates countless times. So I do show pretty much everything that I talk about. And I think that's one of the big reasons that my channel took off, is because I show a lot of shit versus most people just talk about it.
No, I agree. I agree that you show it, right? You show the examples of your text messages, and you show it. You show a lot of examples. What I'm saying is, like, the only thing that really makes me determine whether or not a dating coach has good game or not is the actual game. It's not what receipts they have, what's their lay count.
So you have to like their game. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I have to look at the game itself and say, damn, that was good game. He ran good game there. And regardless of what the outcome is, like, the girl could say fuck you and ghost you at the end. But as long as the game was like good, then I'm sold on it. But
would you acknowledge there's a possibility that maybe your determination with good game could be off?
It's very possible, but I mean, we can get to that. I mean, I have a few points.
I'd be happy to go through each one of those, and you can tell me. I just want to refute the point that I don't show game. But if your point is you don't show good game, then that's something we got to discuss. But wait, let's just finally wrap up with this point with a few things I want to say. So you mentioned that now that I present you with information, you agree with everything besides leading girls on your seeking. Is that correct, or did I misinterpret you?
Yeah, like I said, these were 4 things that on their own, each individual thing, like once one falls off, they all fall off. But the seeking thing still remains. But everything else, Indian P going into hiding or whatever, I get it. He was looking. I totally get it. I believe you. The other thing was, you guys were banning people, and I wasn't even saying that as an accusation or anything wrong. I would have been doing the same thing if it was my channel, but there was a lot of shit talk and like 10 million Indian pie eater, Indian FA accounts. Like, I seen them. Like, it was like an onslaught of trolls. So there was a certain amount of damage control, but I give it to you that, if you say that it wasn't a big deal and that it didn't, hurt your business at all, then, I would have assumed it would have, but you know better than me. So the only point that I and Clara, I never really said that it was like, he paid her or he didn't hook up with her. Really, my point was just like, when you look back at all things that happened in the timeline, it just seemed like it was a convenient, and whether it was natural or it was set up, you guys used it as like a public relations rehabilitation move. So
there's a massive difference between whether it was intentional or it just was a coincidence, right? Because if it's just a coincidence, then who gives a crap, right? It makes no difference. But if it's incidental, that implies they're being deceitful, right? So there's a huge difference between those two. So which camp are you in? Do you think it was deceitful, or do you think it was a coincidence?
Well, I think even if it was a natural thing, if we're using it to cover up or rehabilitate the reputation of Indian P for the seeking thing, I think the seeking thing supersedes everything, honestly, to be, you know what I mean? Because that's a majority of his lay count. He pulls the girls from seeking. That's his thing. So, like, regardless of the other points, I think that kind of supersedes everything. So, like, the other points are minor. The three remaining points are minor. My main point was that it was just a string of events that I found, I don't want to say suspicious, but like curious, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But the seeking thing, I totally think the seeking thing is like I said, dangerous. But I also think it's like, it's not game. So, like, as long as you don't call it, hey, this is, my lay count is 400 and 200 came from seeking, then, I'm good with it. As long as you don't say that that's game. Basically, that's it.
Okay, a few things. First of all, it's not black and white. You can run game with a seeking girl. But I will agree with you, if you're doing hardcore Saul Daddy game, there's an ulterior motive, right? Which is the girl's thinking that maybe she'll hit a paycheck, right? It doesn't mean that the rules of game don't work, right? So sometimes there can be more than one motivation for the girl. Also, I just want to show you this. So you mentioned that we started moderating, like right now. This is 9 months ago. So here I'm like moderation during stream. So at this point, I was already playing around with the idea of, doing, more moderation. This started about like 8-9 months ago, where I started like cracking down a little bit more because I saw that the chat was turning into a shit show. I saw that like my normie fans, like the people who supported me, are like, dude, I no longer want to be in the live chat because it becomes such a negative environment. I fuck with you, but I don't want to watch other shit. So yeah, so I was, that kind of hopefully gives definitive proof that I was already like playing around with this concept 9 months ago before this whole thing happened. I guess my second question is, what kind of proof would I need to show you for you to think that you're wrong about the seeking thing, that we're not trying to like rehabilitate our image and things happen the way I said they happen? Like, what kind of proof would you like to see?
So let me just go back to you had been planning on for a while to, start moderating more. I'll give you that. That's not one of the points. Like I'm just saying that everything was kind of. Sorry, I'm hearing feedback. You hear me okay?
No, I hear you fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it was just the 4 events were a coincidence to me. That's what I was saying. So as far as the seeking thing goes, no, I don't think that it was. I don't think that it's a good look, honestly. Like I understand what you're saying. You can't just be like a total shitbag, but I don't think that there's really any game that you need if you're trying to pull these sugar babies and they think that they're going to get financial assistance out of the deal. So
I hate to do an argument of authority, but I kind of have to in this situation. You have never done seeking game. I've done a lot of it. I feel like you'd be more equipped to make that claim once you try a little bit, and then you can be like, yeah, I felt like there's no game required. But you're purely speculating right now. Like this person summed up pretty well. Sugar babies don't fall guys who don't have money or game. So if he's not paying them, he's gaming them. Yeah, there is true. Now, of course, again, I will acknowledge you can have more than one motivation. But I think like you would probably have a different position if you actually tried Salt Daddy game. But you're purely speculating right now. You've never tried it. I've tried it hundreds of times. Like obviously, I would know better.
Yeah, let me go back to that. I don't know who said that, but the point that they just made, that if you don't have any money, you can't give any money. I get that point, but regardless of whether he pays or not, right? Regardless of whether they get anything out of the deal, their intention, their motivation was the potential that they could get something out of the deal. And I'm not pulling that out of the sky. That's based on him saying that he was going to do financial assistance and not looking for anything that feels transactional, and that he's a really rich, wealthy guy. I mean, I get it that there's some level of social dynamics, right? You have to be like you have to be able to have a conversation.
Do you think it could be more than one thing? Do you think a combination of game and the fact that she might think that she's going to have a whatever? Like why does it have to be one or the other? Couldn't it be both things?
Well, if it is both things, Alex, it draws the game into question, right? It taints everything. It goes back to what I said about having to be above reproach, right? Like if that's even a factor, like if I go on seeking, if I take your advice and go on there and try to experience it for myself, I'm not going to ever look at that girl. Like if I meet somebody and we get serious, I'm never going to be able to look at her like, oh, she just really liked me as a person. It was just one factor that she was looking for, a sugar
I
daddy.
agree with you. That's why I'm actually about to pull up our bonus guide that I mentioned and just go through it with you so you can see that all the stuff I've been saying for a while. But I agree with you. I would personally never date a girl from seeking, right? And just never ever. And I think we've said that publicly many, many times. Great for sex. Don't date these girls, right? So yeah, I mean, it just comes down to what you want. Are you looking to just get laid, or are you looking, for like something more serious, right? And if you're looking for something more serious, seeking is probably the last platform you should be on. But if you're not looking for that, you're just looking for sex, seeking is a pretty good platform for that. I'm trying to pull open this Bonus chapter. It's not working. Hang on a second.
Hold
Keep
on 1 second.
Well, I pull this up.
1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay. It's not working. And we're having some technical issues getting into. Maybe I'm doing the wrong.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. I'm just quickly trying to figure out how I can show you guys our bonus chapter. I haven't done this in a while. Yeah, so here's the thing, though. There's a big difference between this being like an incident, because the problem is the implication that you're getting at is that, these guys are doing something shady, versus if it's just a pure coincidence, then no, these guys are not doing anything shady. It's totally fine. So that's like, you're not directly saying, hey, you guys are doing shady shit, you guys are scamming. Well, that's like the implication. Like if you and I are talking and I'm like, yeah, man, well, do you like grapes? You're like, yeah, I like grapes. Yeah, you have a tendency to enjoy grapes with women, And it's like, whoa, dude, that was fucked. Oh, bro, I'm just making a joke, It's just a joke, bro. Right, but the implication is very clear there. Do you understand how the
Right.
implication is like really clear in what you say?
Right. So, but what I'm trying to explain is there were 4 points on that timeline, right? They all work together. So when I wrote that, I was under the impression that all 4 points were accurate, right? And I didn't go out of my way to like research and vet everything, but it was just a YouTube comment. And I think that when you put them together, like assuming that they all stood up under scrutiny, then it would look like that there was a scandal. Like I'm just using that word for lack of a better word, like something that like looked bad that you wanted to clean up. You did some damage control. In DMP, again, he went to go look for another job. I get it. But people were saying the opposite. People were saying that he was laying low, that you told him not to go on streams anymore because he was, for his mental health and for, he was ducking people and not going on streams because he was going to get asked about the seeking thing, which goes back to the first point of like that it was a pain in the ass problem that you guys had to deal with. And then the fourth thing was he came back and he's hooking up with a porn star, which I said, I didn't say that he paid her. I didn't say that he didn't hook up with her. All I'm saying is that it may be looked at, from my perspective as a move to kind of rehabilitate him after the seeking controversy or whatever you want to call it.
The problem is that none of these points actually stand up under scrutiny. The first point is that we had this PR scandal. It wasn't a PR scandal. No one besides a few black pillars gave a shit about it. There was not any big channels reacting to it. There's no channels like covering it. I didn't even.
Didn't Michael Sartain react to it?
No, I don't.
Or somebody so. Like that.
No one over 1,000 subs, I believe, reacted to it.
But it may not have been big channels, but it was your whole audience basically talking about it.
It wasn't my whole audience was talking about it. There's a few black pillars in the comments who were talking about it. The vast majority of my audience doesn't give a shit. And if you want proof, I can show you that our sales stayed exactly the same. But yeah, there was no drop off in sales. There was no PR nightmare. It was just literally some random shit that a few black pill channels were talking about. And just an FYI, that is every single month. Every single month, Gownstar makes new videos about me. There's this dude named Coach Soaphill. So these guys have been talking trash for the last years. So it's not like this caused something that wasn't happening before. It's all the same channels that were already talking shit, talk more shit, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, again, I didn't really feel a need to do a video on it. It was that like comical to me. So there was no PR nightmare. Now, the second point, again, now you have the information, is that he didn't lay low. There's nothing wrong with his mental state. He literally lost his job, which, again, if you want, I can provide proof of that. And he was looking for a new job. And as soon as he got his new job, he was, he was back on. I think the third point you make was that about him being with a porn star. Well, I showed evidence, all the screenshots from start to finish, that there was nothing there that looked sus or financial is just like a guy flirting with a girl and talking about podcasts. So I think that given the evidence that I showed you, I think it's fair for you to conclude that maybe my initial assumption was wrong.
I gave you the benefit of the doubt on every one of those points. So the first thing you said you don't care, it wasn't a scandal, that only a few black pillar channels were talking about it. Like, okay, if that's the case, I believe you. So that one we can knock down. From my perspective as a viewer, I think that to me it's scandalous. It draws into question your credibility that whole event happened. What was written in that profile, not that he has a seeking profile that you guys use seeking, but the financial assistance, the helpful stud, like all that stuff that draws into question all of basically everything for me.
But this is
So
stuff we've been talking about for ages.
well, again, like I said in the beginning of the stream, I think originally you guys said, well, this is a whole uncharted territory. Like, why limit yourself to Tinder or Bumble or whatever when you could go on Seeking and the girls are hotter and all you have to do is game them, right? You don't have to pay them. You don't have to say that you're going to pay them. You don't have to imply that you're going to pay them. You just run straight game on them and basically screen out the ones that are not going to play ball or going to want money. So that was the way that you originally came up with the way that you proposed it to your audience, that the use of Seeking. So to see the bio that Indian PE had with the financial assistance and the 500K and all that stuff, that kind of was new information. So it wasn't like it was completely new and shocking to everyone that he was using Seeking. It was how he was using Seeking that really was the problem for me.
Right.
So
I'm gonna get the bonus chapter that we've had for ages. I'm having login issues, but bear with me for a few minutes. I'm gonna get access to it and I'm gonna show you guys what we've been talking about in a bonus chapter for like ages. But you said that, again, just to go back to what you were saying earlier, you said that basically every single thing I told you, with the exception of how he has his profile structured in Seeking, you're okay with. So then would you be willing to walk back your initial timeline saying, hey, I believe only one of these four things is true now, based on this updated information?
Yeah, but like I said, it's a package deal, right? So like when you knock one of them down, I gave you the benefit of the doubt, I agreed with you on 3 out of 4. So none of them stand up now except for the Seeking thing. So the whole thing about the PR and here's the thing, like you say that it wasn't a big deal, and I'm going to take your word for it, but like from my perspective, I lost a lot of. I think Indian PE lost a lot of credibility in my eyes. I don't know how big of a deal that is for the rest of your audience, but to me, I guess that's why I think of it like a big PR nightmare, a big scandal, because to me, like whatever credibility he had, it went away when that profile was revealed. So that's all I'm saying is, that's why I think that it was a bigger deal than I think you say that it is, because if my reaction is this, then I imagine other people are having the same reaction. Regardless, and I like Indian PE. I like you. I'm not like being personal. It's just that's my opinion. Is like it kind of ruined his credibility for me a little bit.
Okay, let's do two things. Number one, let me ask the chat, and please be honest. Just be brutally honest. Did the whole Seeking thing affect your perception of PWF as a brand? Just say yes or no. Second of all, I was going to say about
what about Indian PE and personally?
Well, Indian PE is part of PWF, right?
Right, but specifically because people might think that you're like just focus in on Indian PE because he is a coach, he's part of your business, but I think that's probably more accurate of what I'm saying because you didn't have the profile that I read, with the.
Well, I do have a profile on Seeking. Yeah, pretty much everyone is saying like no. One guy's like a little, but generally speaking, people are saying no. So yeah, I think the average person, didn't give a shit about it. The second thing is like if I thought it was a big deal, why would I not do a response video to that? I mean, you guys know me by now that I have no problem like going head to head with a bunch of like, whatever people who are criticizing me, right? I mean, hence the point of this debate. So I've like, if I thought it was a big deal, why would I not make a video addressing it?
Well, that's the thing. I believe that you don't think that it was a big deal. I believe that. So I'm going to take your word for that. What I'm saying is, I guess I'm looking at it through my eyes, right? And I'm saying like if that was me and I was a dating coach and that information came out, I would think that that was really detrimental to my credibility and everything. But that's just from my perspective. So if your audience says no, it doesn't really, we don't care, we don't think it's a big deal, then it is what it is. Then it wasn't a scandal. But I thought that it was because number one, I saw a lot of people talking about it, and number two, like I think it was pretty damning.
I finally got access to the Salt Daddy. All right, let's take a look at it real quick. Yeah, man. So, I mean, do you believe me when I say that we didn't lose a single dollar over that?
I 100% believe you, but yeah, so that's good. I'm glad you didn't lose any money, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is from my perspective, when I found that new information out that he was saying financial assistance and he's going to get Mariah a job and all kinds of other things that came out after that, to me that I was like, wow, like, and I'll be quite honest, and I don't mean any offense. Uh, my opinion of his game was never really that high to begin with, but like now it's like almost non-existent because of that. So I just assumed that my perspective would apply to more than just a few people, just a few black pillars. But I could be wrong about that. So
let's take a look at I think this might be the final nail on the coffin. So let's take a look at this bonus chapter that I mentioned many times. This bonus chapter is been out for like years now, so this is nothing new. Let me just go through the relevant part. For my experience, there's 5 types of girls you'll come across on these app. So hardcore prostitutes, right? And I talk about don't waste your time with them. Amateur hosts, sugar babies. These girls are basically difficulty medium to close. They're on the website since they're broke and want to get paid for their booty, but they have something called a conscience, and that makes them hesitant to ask for money or even the number itself. With these girls, you can get away with saying you're looking for something long-term and consistent, that you offer biweekly allowance to your previous sugar baby, right? So again, it's a little bit of an exaggeration there, right? Party girls, right? So we talk about that. Regular girls. So here are the 3 types of girls that I've talked about a lot, because these ones don't require any I don't know, any trickery to hook up with. Girls who are just horny, regular girls who wants to be a successful guy, party girls. But there's a 4th category, which is these girls, right? And you can game them. It just requires extreme Salt Daddy game. So we show our profile. Let's see, what do I have? Annual income 250,000. Oh, net worth 1 million. So we showed that. Okay, here we have not looking for platonic lifestyle, no PPM, no hookerish, no trans, not attracted to blah blah blah. Screening your aims to make sure she's never had Salt Day when texting. You really want one thing was Gretzky. What are you looking for in here? You think about is competition. Okay, wait. He hates bar dates. I would say if you go straight to the house, possible date is normal. Different don't break report. If she goes bring some money. So yeah, like here's another thing we're talking about. Again, hardcore Salt Daddy game. We're not advocating, but if someone wants to do it, we'll give them the correct information. If she bring up money, you can respond with something like, yeah, I used to help my previous sugar babies. I used to help them with bills and other stuff. I take them shopping, etc. This reframes it as once she had sex with you, she'll be in to get your support. So we do in this product, like in this bonus chapter, we do talk about exactly the stuff that you guys saw. So like, do you do pay per meet? You say no at any cost to this, or she will bring it up in person. No, honestly, not into PPM since it feels hookerish. So stuff like that. Here we're talking about the pros and cons. You'll fuck some of the hottest girls. It'll be easier to close. Class, it's very rare to see girls again once they realize you're going to make money from you. There's a higher risk of crazy situations, which is what I told you. So here we'll just show you text game. You can, if you have the product, you can go through. Wait, fuck! I can't go through it because there's like too many potential these arrangement style apps can be super fucking awesome. Unfortunately, there's some risk of shit going down. So Alex never had an issue personally. I had one where chicken attempted to blackmail me. It was all okay. And then the point is that you need to be smart and trust.
Whoa. But like, that was no big deal. Like, she tried to blackmail you. Who was that? Was that you?
It was a feeble attempt. So the girl was like, "Hey, you're gonna, give me money, or I'm gonna say this," and he's like, "No," and then nothing happened. So it was like it wasn't anything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the target is painted on you. You're painting a target on your bag. That's why, like, regardless, I don't think it's like that big of a deal to use it. I see what you're saying, but like, it's kind of dangerous when I think it's not worth the risk. But that's just
that's the
me.
thing. We're not telling you to do. We're not telling everyone to do it. We're saying, hey, if this is something that you want to do, here are our guides for doing it. We're not trying to sell the Salt Daddy guide. We're not trying to we're just anyone who buys a product, we just give it to them, right? So it's not something that we're trying to sell. This is not something we're leading with. This is just something we have. But you can see based on the information I showed you that there actually hasn't been a single thing during that Salt Daddy reveal, which isn't stuff we've said ourselves like a dozen times.
Yeah, I mean, like the bonus. Well, the bonus chapter in the book, like when you say that you guys have been open about using Seeking for a long time, I agree. I went back. I mean, I've been following the channel since like 2019, so I remember all those videos. But like when you're talking about a bonus chapter that you get when you buy your product, that's not really being totally open. I mean, it's out there if you bought the product, but it's not like you're being really. That's why everybody was kind of shocked about it. Everybody was treating it like it was new information.
First
like
of all,
revelation.
Everybody wasn't shocked about it. There was like 5 or 10 people that were shocked about it. Second of all, we did try to do a video about Seeking. The problem is that Seeking emailed me and said they were going to sue me. So I would love to. We actually already had a video done that showed you, everything about Seeking, how to do it. The problem is that, if I wanted to keep that video up, I was going to face a pretty expensive lawsuit. But we did try to. Well, the only way we can have this information if it's private like that, because again, Seeking is super aggressive about screwing people. And again, if you don't believe me, I can show you proof. But basically,
I remember that.
When we released the video, Seeking was threatening to come after us for this. That's why we had to take it down. So this is not by choice that we keep it behind a paywall. Our first initial reaction was to just give it to the whole world. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
But I think that once, because again, all the people who were like losing their shit over the seeing his Seeking profile, they're not paying customers of ours, because paying customers of ours know is something we've discussed many times. These are people who just generally dislike me, right? But now that you've seen what the bonus chapter that we have, can you acknowledge that there was nothing new that was revealed that we haven't revealed ourselves?
Look, I'm like I said, I'm coming with an open mind. I don't have any preconceived. Well, I do have preconceived opinions, but I'm totally open to changing my mind, and I'm listening to you, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt on a lot of things. So is the guy Noah? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I'm sure you've seen the clip like 300 times by now. But isn't the guy Noah like a student of yours or a student of Indian PE's?
I don't know if he's a student of ours. We're friendly with him. I don't know if we've ever coached him. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, he's like a internet buddy of ours. Sure.
Well, so on that stream, it was Greg and Noah and I don't know, the guy with the bald head. I forget his name, but when he was reading that profile, when he was reading the bio, everybody was acting really shocked about it. Like it was like something that was unusual, and then. I mean, that's what gives me the impression that it wasn't like a well-known secret. Like the way that they were talking about it, it seemed to me like they were pretty shocked to come across the profile.
Yeah, but dude, the people act like that. If I'm like, hey, Alex, are you hanging out with Natty this weekend? Oh, Natty has a work meeting. Walking around him. So people who hate me will act surprised about anything. Late at night, Greg's channels predominantly black pillars. Black pillars don't really like me. So yeah, there was 5 or 6 people who were surprised by that. Those are the same 5 or 6 people who haven't actually deep dived into our content, because anyone who who either has a product or at the same time not even has a product but has like deep dived into my content, watched a lot of it, you guys know that I talk about this. There's nothing there revealed that I didn't reveal myself. And that's why I wanted to show you the bonus chapter, so that you can see with your eyes that there's nothing that was revealed that we didn't reveal ourselves years ago.
Yeah, no, and I get what you're saying. My point originally was, it's a bonus chapter, so it's not like really it's not widely available, but I
We just
understand
have
what you're
no other
saying.
choice. We just have no choice, man.
I got you. I get it. The seeking guy threatened to sue you. I mean, I get it. But like I said, to me, and I could be wrong about it. I think a lot of people, I guess I'm like taking the pulse of the PWF community wrong, like because it's been what, like a couple months now, and like there's been a lot of reactions. There's been a lot of discussions about it, and to me, it doesn't seem like it's something that was like a well-known thing. It seemed like that was like kind of new bombshell news that everybody was reacting to and talking about. And
Well, yeah,
hey,
we have to keep putting things in perspective. When you say, so for example, Myron's little KKK incident, that's something that everyone's talking about. It. His whole chat is going crazy. There's a bunch of like reaction channels like mine who respond to it, right? That's something that a lot of people are talking about. With this thing, there's like 5 or 10 people in the comments who are talking about it. Maybe 1 or 2 black pill channels that have like 200 subs. So it's not everybody's talking about it. It's not like the audience is revolting. It's a small, tiny subsect of people who don't particularly like me and look for any reason to criticize me that, they're bringing this up, right? So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's super silly because, yeah, I've showed, like I've talked about how, hey, I'm pretty open about seeking. Even when I did my roast of Myron, the one thing I defended him on was, wait, guys, just because he uses seeking doesn't mean he's paying for it, okay? You can use seeking without paying for it. And this was like half a year ago. I mean, I just showed you with the bonus chapter. You can see they were pretty upfront about all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, man, I mean, there's really nothing that was revealed at all. It was just 4 or 5 people just decide to make a big deal out of it, but it wasn't. I'm going to turn on my AC. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
But yeah, so does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I'm following along with you. I guess like I got to go back to again, like my thing is it was new information for me. Like I knew that you guys were using seeking, but when I heard like forget about everybody else, forget about what the audience is reacting and the black pillars and all that. I just like to me that's all that I'm trying to. That's what's making me think that it was like a bigger scandal than you say that it was, because if my reaction, I'm pretty level headed, and I really don't like just like follow the crowd at all. So like when that information was presented to me, that changed my opinion. So I figured it would have had the same kind of effect on other people that found out the information. So
Okay,
that's really
what
yeah.
YouTube channels covered the whole thing? Like what YouTube channels covered this scandal?
Well, to be fair, Alex, and I mean no offense, but you're kind of on this like when you compare yourself to Fresh and Fit, like the Myron scandal,
No,
it's apples and
they're more
oranges, right?
popular than me, but I guarantee you, if I had like a super bad scandal, a lot of people would respond to that. But no, they're a lot bigger than me for sure. Yeah, but I'm not but I'm also like I have a decent sized audience, like 140,000. It's like not like super small potatoes. So yeah, I mean,
no.
Like if I do something really fucked up, I guarantee a bunch of channels will respond to it.
No, you have a good number of subscribers, and I'm not trying to get into that whole game or whatever. But like when you talk about like, so a lot of it is people like you could probably tell me better, like analytics wise. Like a lot of it is people that just like loosely follow you, like just for like they're not involved in the community, they're not following all the events, they're just tuning in for like the videos and demonstrations and stuff. Like, would you say that that's a majority of your subscribers, like 80-90% of just like casual people that check in when they need some tips or whatever?
Yeah, sort of. So the way I feel like it kind of breaks down is the vast majority of my audience, and they can be casual, they can be very passionate, they can be very like, into PWF, is they don't go on the live streams, right? They don't care about the live streams. They just watch every single like fucking tips video that I put out. My channel, I think also people say like, oh, Alex, you don't get that many live viewers. Right, because my channel is not based around streams. 98% of
Right.
people who subscribe to my channel subscribe because of videos and shorts,
Yep.
not because of the live streams. The live stream is something extra I do to just interact with people who really want to interact with me, right? And I also do it for fun because I find them fun. But that's not like, if I stop doing live streams, my channel will continue growing at the same exact rate. But if I stop doing regular videos, my growth is going to collapse. So I think a lot of people, I wouldn't say they're casual. Some of them are like really hardcore, but they don't watch the streams. They just do it for the regular videos.
Right. So when you factor that in, the population of like people that would have reacted to the Indian PE thing, but the seeking is much smaller than the 140,000 subscribers, right? Because they're not tuning into the live streams. They're definitely not going to Greg's channel. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a much smaller population. So yeah, but anyway, my point was that, that was my reaction to it, and I thought that it would be, like anyone else who would have heard it would have had a similar reaction. Right.
Do you think if, for example, hypothetically speaking, I was on Greg's stream and I was like, yeah, guys, listen, Natty is actually secretly a dude. We got her the trans surgery, blah, blah, blah. I mean, do you not think that a whole bunch of people will be reacting to that and flipping out?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone just clipped that right now. I'm betting, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
right. So that would be a scandal, regardless of which channel I'm on. Well, again, like I'd just be curious, like if you can name any YouTuber that covered this. The only one I know is Ganstar. Do you know any other YouTubers that covered this?
Coach Soaphill, you already mentioned.
Coach Soaphill, 50 subs. Yeah.
I don't know. Did Scribe and MD? I don't know. I don't watch them. I don't know if Formaxer did. I don't watch any of those, so I can't really tell you. But
the point is,
it seems like they would.
It's like, I don't know. I honestly, their whole shit is like 4 hours long, and I can't subject myself to watching.
Yeah, it's a problem.
But the point is, like 2 or 3 tiny black pill channels covered that, right? Let's take someone who's like similar size as me. Modern Life Dating, right? Are you familiar with the Modern Life Dating situation?
I watched part of the stream that you had last week. Yeah.
Okay, so Modern Life Dating, he's similar size as me. He has a little bit more subs, but I get way more views. I would say, if anything, my channel comes out on top because views matter more than subs. But we're kind of on the same playing field. When he had his incident where he said that whole thing about enduring, then he kind of rage quit that show. And lastly, all those screenshots came out that he's abusing girls. There was massive reaction to that. I mean, Abba and Preach reacted to it, Destiny reacted to it. There was massive amounts of big channels, at least a dozen that were reacting to that, right? That is a scandal, what happened with MLD. Yeah. So it stands to reason that if I have a legit scandal, then I will get similar reactions. Hence, because we have, somewhat of an even channel when it comes to, supporting audience. But that's not what happened. There's like 2 or 3 tiny black pillars who have like 50 subs that reacted to it, but no one really covered it because no one gave a shit.
Yeah. Well, I probably used the wrong word. Like I said scandal just for like, a word to use. I don't know, a controversy. You could use any word, but what I'm saying, it was just something that was a bad look. And again, that was through my perspective. I thought that it was a bad look. It drew a lot of questions for me. And so I just assumed that could extrapolate and that a lot of people would have the similar questions. So I don't think it was a scandal. I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I don't think, there was anything immoral that happened. I just think like from a perspective of, this is a dating coach. He's selling a product of, being a dating coach and teaching game. Like, that's not game. That's the revelation there, is that he's not using game. And I understand what you're saying, that you have to have some game when you're doing that. But that's just,
But Ennis, you've said yourself that you've heard us talking about it in the past, how we say that, we seeking blah, blah. So why is this a bombshell for you if you already knew that we do that?
So the reason why it's new information for me, even though I remember like going years back, it's not even like relatively recent. But when you originally brought it to everyone's attention, the way that you were presenting it wasn't that you were leading with the wallet, or that you were like saying that you were going to financially assist, or that you were worth this much money. The way that you presented it was, hey, this is a fresh market that's untouched, right? Like, why limit yourself to Tinder? go on Seeking. And yes, there's a lot of sugar babies and there's a lot of people that are like trying to make money off of there. But hey, like just screen those people out, and then you could game the remaining, girls. That's how it was originally presented. So that none of the stuff about the Salt Daddy game was like, at least that I can remember, and I remember watching those videos. So that's why it's like new for me. It's not so much the use of Seeking, it's the how it was used. Basically, that's my
Okay,
point.
I think I understand. So yeah, so I think that you wouldn't feel this way if that video I made about Seeking was allowed to stay up, because in that video we covered all of this shit. So I think that if I unfortunately that video is down, but if I had that video, I would literally like be like, yo, this timestamp we say this, right? So unfortunately, that just kind of is what it is. I think the
Yeah.
second thing is, like I said, so sometimes I speak in a simple manner because, if I start giving all the nuance, it gets really confusing, right? So, but the reality is there's different types of girls on Seeking, and there's different, levels of Salt Daddy game that you can do, right? I typically speak about level 1 because that's generally what I would advocate for my audience, because I think a good amount of people are not that socially aware. So the last thing I want to do is like have someone, get in trouble or whatever. So I kind of like always like keep it super like idiot proof. I'm not saying that there's anyone who's an idiot, but that's basically the premise of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. But in my personal life, not even mine, in DMP's personal life, like he goes a step further with the Salt Daddy game, right? And that's his prerogative. But I think also, is it safe to say that you've never bought my product?
Oh no, I haven't bought your product. No.
Okay. So and that's fine. But I think that if you had bought my product, this would be a lot less of a surprise for you, because you would have seen the Seeking bonus chapter and you would have read all of that, and you would have read all our layer reports on there where we do the same exact shit that was quote unquote revealed. So
I don't.
This would not have been. Just the point I'm making is this has not been a surprise for anyone who actually has bought my product and seen that bonus chapter.
Right. But like I said, I haven't bought that, and I'm not saying that you were like hiding it or anything, but it was a new revelation for a lot of people. Myself, like I'm mostly speaking for myself, but the way that people were reacting to it, it didn't seem like it was something like, oh, we knew this for years, like they were doing this. Like even people like in your close circle, like I said, the people on that original stream were reading through the profile and like kind of reacting to it, and they were kind of shocked by it. But the point is, it's not about whether or not you guys were open about it or you were hiding it or anything. The main point is that regardless, you can't say that that's game, and it draws into question any results. You know what I mean? That you claim are like, well, like those have to be.
Again, we're not saying we're not. So first of all, I disagree with you. I think there's elements of game and elements of other motives, but we're never talking about our Seeking interactions and trying to like pawn them off as game. Like when we do breakdowns of cold approach, of infield, of texting, it's always non-Seeking stuff. I wish we could do Seeking because there would be a whole more girls that we could use, but we've never like used Seeking. Like you can't find an example of a video where I use Seeking screenshots to try to prove a point about something. That doesn't exist. So we're not leveraging that. But like we are also allowed to live a personal life, and we don't have to we can do. There's things. See, you're a hypocrite if you say one thing and do the opposite. But if I never talk about hiking and you find out that I go hiking on the weekend, that's not me being a hypocrite. That's me choosing to do something in my personal life that I didn't feel was necessary for me to share. But again, we have shared the fact that we use Seeking, and again, I don't think this was a surprise for anyone who has had my product and gone through that bonus chapter, because we talked about all that same shit there. And again, my initial intention was to share that with the whole world. But again, due to legal issues, I wasn't able to do that. I think there's a bunch of people that can confirm that I did have that video released. Actually, if you really want proof, the CEO of Seeking, I forget what his name is, some Asian dude, go under his comments. He was actually in his comments saying that he's going to try to sue me. So that's like, even, I don't know if he took it down, but that's on this thing. So I think that like I understand your point, but I feel like the point is mute because again, we never like are leading with that and and we're pretty transparent about it.
Was the girl Mariah? Was the girl like so? like that could be given an example. Like you did have her on for a demonstration, like what, like she was a Seeking girl, right?
We said she was from Seeking. We're extremely upfront about that.
Right. So, but then after that, people were saying that she was from Seeking and that like he bought her, that he got her a job or whatever.
Right, but
And
the problem, there's a big difference between the fact that we met her on Seeking, which is something we've said ourselves countless times, right? And the fact that we paid her money or he got her a job in order for her to fuck him or to do the video. They're not even the same category, right? So we have disagreed with the false narratives about her, us giving her money, something like that. That's fundamentally false, and I can provide proof of that. But we always acknowledge ourselves that we met her on Seeking, and we're upfront about that, and we've said that publicly a whole bunch of times.
Right, but like having her on a video, like for like a sex demonstration or whatever like that, doesn't that give the impression that like you know what I'm saying? Like you said,
No,
you never used a Seeking girl.
Not if we're upfront about it and we say, hey, we met this girl on Seeking. Like that doesn't. Oh, actually, the Mariah thing is interesting. Okay, so he initially met her on Bumble, and then they rematched on Seeking. So technically, initially, they met on Bumble, but a lot of the conversation later happened on Seeking. So that one's kind of both ways. Like if she found him so unattractive, why would she match with him on Bumble? So just food for thought.
Well, I mean, you know, to be fair, the Face app thing, you guys, that's a whole nother thing. But I mean, the Face app, it's
but again,
pretty,
are we upfront about that, or do we talk about it? Did I tell you this?
Yeah, no, but you're saying, but what I'm saying is like when you look at like the extent that you guys do the Face app, I mean, it's pretty. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody matched with somebody on Bumble or whatever if they did, you know, Face app to that extent. But that's beside the point. I was just reacting to what you said. But
well, do you know how many girls have called out me and Indian P for Face app? Do you have an idea of how many girls?
I'm assuming you're going to say none, but
0. Never happened.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But yeah, no girls like calling us out on that. We've never had a bad incident. Now I will say this. We did an experiment a while ago where we used a deep fake, and you guys can watch this video. When I was doing the deep fake experiment, I was meeting up with girls. Yeah, there were girls that were calling me out on that. They were like, what's going on here, right? So girls are capable of calling out guys. But with the Face app, never once had a girl call me out. Indian P never had a girl call him out. So.
I got to change my headphones. Hold on a second.
Okay, you're good. All right, are you guys enjoying this debate? It's been pretty chill, but I like those. Honestly, from a content perspective, obviously it's not optimal, but just from like a having good time perspective, I actually enjoy talking to people who are chill and reasonable. And I will say, Ennis has been pretty chill. He's been reasonable. So I personally prefer these discussions more to give me more hope. Okay, anyway, so where were you?
Yeah. Well, can you hear me okay? Because these are the different headphones.
It's a little bit worse, but we can try it.
All right. Yeah, I was pretty much done with the Seeking thing. Like I said, it was, from my perspective, I think that it was a bad look, and I see all your points. I just assumed that based on the reactions that I saw, and based on my assumption that people would have the similar reaction as me, that it would have been more of an issue, more of a headache for you. But if that's not the case, I mean, it is what it is. So
I mean, we saw it in the live chat. Vast majority of people said, no, it's not a big deal. We don't care. It was only like, I think one person said, yes, sort of. I mean, maybe there was one more that I didn't see, but the point is the vast majority of people say like, no, we don't give a shit. So yeah, that kind of is what it is.
Yeah, not like you give a shit, like you're like we're like angry at Indian PE or whatever.
Like, is it gonna make you lose respect for our brand? And the answer was no.
Well, I wouldn't go that far either. That it makes me lose respect for you. That's a little extreme, but it calls into question, especially when he says that the majority of his hookups come from seeking, right? And even if there's some game involved, you can't it's like, it's not, you can't separate the two things. Like one taints the other, right? So either it's game. So even if they're mixed, like the seeking part, the sugar daddy, salt daddy game, that like kind of taints everything for me. So that's my point.
But dude, what about the dozens and dozens of girls he's banged from cold approach? What about the dozens and dozens he's banged from dating apps? Like, what about those?
Well, I like, okay, so I don't know, like I know that he said the majority are from seeking. I don't know I think it's still unclear what the exact number is from the other apps. I don't know what you had mentioned, that the seeking girls are higher quality. I don't want to bring, I hate to even say this, I feel like a piece of shit, but that one video, I know the one it gets brought up all the time, but the quote unquote old lady, come on, that's a classic. I mean, he texted back and forth with her for over a month and finally hooked up with her. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. That I'm sure but that's what I'm saying about like the seeking girls are the dimes. The seeking girls are the 8s and the 9s, and then the other ones are like,
Right,
you see what I'm saying?
Let's talk about that. So I'm gonna have to start off with a few personal questions, if you don't mind indulging. What is your lay count in this?
I would say, well, first of all, I want to make it clear that I'm in my 30s.
Okay.
So that's an important factor. I would say 40 at least, but I'll knock it down to 30 just because there's probably at least 10 that I wouldn't want to claim, that I wouldn't want to be bragging about. So I'll say 30.
Okay, fair enough. So out of those 30, has there been a single one that's not that attractive?
Well, that's the 10 that I knocked off. So,
so 40. 10. But what is the like? So what was the most unattractive girl you've hooked up with? I've been pretty public about my story. The girl I lost my virginity to was like 250 pounds. Okay, it was the fat chick. So I've been super public about the chick I lost my virginity to. So what would you say is the least unattractive girl that you've had sex with?
I would say I have you beat with the fat chick. I had one that was very regrettable. I don't even know how it happened. There was another girl. I would say, I don't like to do like the whole 1 to 10 thing, but I guess it's the only way that we can measure it. There was one that had like, those glasses that are like so thick it makes their eyes look like they're gigantic, like a predator insect or something like that. That was probably my worst, even worse than the fat girl. But I don't include either one of them in the 30. That's part of the 40 at least. But yeah.
Okay, but
pretty bad.
So if every time, let's assume you become a dating coach, right? And every time we start talking about your credibility, and I say, yeah, but what about that one glasses girl? Would that be fair?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, most of the girls I haven't had sex with were attractive. Would that be fair for me to say, pick out the most disgusting girl you've had sex with and use that to discredit you?
No, I don't think that would be fair. But on the other, hold on now. So if I made a video, like, let me show off this girl with her gigantic bug eye, insect predator eyes, like, and had her on video and was like, this is my game. This is what I'm able to do. I mean, it's kind of a different situation, right? Like, it's not just like you're picking a random girl that he hooked up with and making a situation out of it. It's you guys used it as an example of how an Indian man can hook up with a hot white woman, right? Is that what?
No, that wasn't the purpose of the video at all. It was a demonstration video, right? That might be what people got out of it, but
that was the video's title, wasn't it? What was the video's title?
I don't know. Let me take a look.
I'm pretty sure it was how an Indian man could hook up with a hot white woman. I'm pretty sure.
You know what? You're right. We changed the. We were going to do something else, I think, and then we changed it to that. Okay, so you're right.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's a few things I'm going to say. The first one is, you guys are not going to believe me, but this is honestly the truth. That chick looked way more fucking attractive in real life than she did on the video. I mean, I think whatever you say about me, I think you have to acknowledge the fact that I'm pretty smart and marketing savvy. and that I think about everything, a few moves ahead. And there is no fucking way I would have did a video with a chick that I thought was gross, right? It just so happened that how they say the camera adds 10 pounds. Well, for her, it added 10 pounds of ugly. So that is what it is. If you guys want, I can try to figure out her Instagram and send it to you guys, but then you'll say like, oh, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, that girl was pretty decent in real life, because otherwise I would have never, ever put her on the channel. Like, why would I put a girl on the channel that's gross? Like, it just makes no sense for me from a business perspective. So, yeah, I mean, I acknowledge that in that video, she doesn't look good. I fully acknowledge that. But again, you might not want to believe me, but in real life, she looked a lot better. So I could try to get her Instagram if you guys want, but.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I mean, I don't want to like that's a human being. I don't want to that's not right. I mean, in my opinion, it's just an example that I'm using. I don't really want to especially bully a woman on her looks or whatever. That's not who I am. With that being said, I think I see what you're saying, but I think what happened was, and I don't see anything wrong with you hooking up with a woman who's unattractive if you are attracted to her. So if Indian P was attracted to her and was really into her, that's fine.
But I'm telling you, he didn't see her as unattractive. She was pretty attractive in real life.
No, he saw her as attractive. That's what I'm saying. So that's all that really matters. But what I'm saying is, when we're judging the quality that we can get from game, if that's the quality, that might not be for me. That might not be for somebody else. So that's
Dennis, point. But I think if you saw her in real life, you might have a different opinion.
Okay.
I can't prove this, so I hate saying this because I can't prove it, but that's honestly how I feel. And I've already actually messaged Indian P, try to get her Instagram, and if he responds to me by the time this is over, I'll show her Instagram as long as he's cool with it. But yeah, I'm telling you, she did not look like that off camera. Like, sometimes the camera does make you look better or worse, right?
There's angles and lighting and everything. I get that. And don't bother on my account to get her Instagram. Like I said, I don't want to that's, like I said, that's a human being. I feel bad that I even said it, but I know that it's been said so many times before that I don't really
that's a common attack point, but it just ignores all the, look, for anyone who watches a lot of my streams, when me and Indian P were living together, you guys have seen him pull countless girls while I'm doing a stream. Dozens and dozens. Chat, let me know. Have you seen Indian P pull a hot chick while I was streaming? I'm sure you guys have seen it because the chat always goes crazy. But yeah, that's happened countless times.
Yeah, but we don't have background where they came from, though, Alex. We don't have background where they came from. Were they the seeking percentage or were they the other percentage? You know what I mean?
Okay, so he says, yes. So it depends. Some of them were from seeking, some of them for dating apps, and some of them were from cold approach and social circle. I've seen him bang girls from every source. He's banged chicks from social circle, and I would say this girl, the Clara girl, that's a social circle type of lead, right? He's banged chicks from cold approach, and he's banged chicks from other dating apps, and he's also banged chicks from seeking, right? So it just really depends on what girl we're talking about. Okay, a bunch of people are saying yes, so yeah, I'm just taking.
Well, I've seen it myself too, and okay, so I don't want to go into the conspiracy theories or whatever again. I'm not accusing you of anything. I've seen it plenty of times as well, but somebody who's skeptical of dating coaches, it could seem staged, right? That every time you're doing a live stream, he happens to be sneaking. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm just saying that if you have a skeptical mind towards it, that you're bringing that up. I don't think that that's the case, but like I said, most of them are probably seeking. I don't know, but that's just another thing that kind of makes me skeptical that every single time he did a stream, he was sneaking a girl out the back. But I can't prove anything.
It wasn't sneaking girls from the back. That's how our living room worked. There was a living room, then there was what the fuck is it called? The balcony. In order to get to the balcony, you had to go through the living room. But there's no him sneaking girls through the back. That never happened.
I think the first time it was a big deal, and he was trying to keep her out of the camera angle. and people noticed it and started
Wait,
calling it out.
which one was this? What are we
Oh,
talking?
I don't know. It was a while back, but I remember it was like, because it wasn't like anybody had seen that before. Everybody's like, "Oh, P's pulling, look at P," you know, they're like all the chat's going crazy, and he was kind of like, he wasn't trying to show her. He was like just walking her out, and she happened to come into frame. But then it seemed like after that, it was like a more recurring thing. So I think, if in my mind, if I'm going to be a skeptic, I'm going to, and I'm not, like I'm saying, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just saying, like, I think it could be looked at as the chat reacted to it this way. People like were really giving ENDP props for that. So let's try it again and try it again and try it again.
Yeah, no,
And
I hate that argument because, like, let's pretend you and I are debating about the fact that you're a liar. I'm like, hey, listen, Ennis, I'm not calling you a liar. It's just that some people could look at it. It's like you either agree with that position or you don't agree. But I don't, for the purpose of this debate, I don't really care what some random no-name person in the chat thinks. I care about what you think, right? Because I'm debating
Right.
you. I'm not debating those people. So you got to take either strong position. Either you think that these comments are true, they're false, or it's somewhere in the middle, right? You can't just be like, oh, well, you know, I'm not saying it, but other people are saying it. Like, what are we going to do? Because then we can never make any headway.
No.
In terms of what's it called? The him whatever bring girls on. If you can find me the video where he had to sneak girls out, I'd be curious to see it because I don't ever recall that happening. But yeah, there was a little bit of an element of deliberation to it because the first time we did it, we were like, yo, because some guy was like, yo, this will crush all the black pillars. I was like, yo, when you pull a chick, let's just do it. This will piss off all the black pillars. Let's just provide social proof after social proof.
Right. So I mean, like I said, so now it was a deliberate strategy, right, to disprove the black pillars.
No, not really. He was pulling. These are chicks that he was already pulling, that he was already planning on banning. And I told him once in passing, like, yo, man, when you go on the balcony, you should walk her past the camera because that will really drive the black pillars crazy. But it wasn't like he was just getting those girls just to like prove the black pill wrong. He already had the girls. We just had him slightly adjust his walking strategy.
Yeah, well, so okay, but that was what I said originally, was that it seemed like it was something that happened once organically, and then it happened multiple times after that, seemingly to like prove a point. So like even if there are chicks that he was legit hooking up with, it still doesn't change the fact that he would like that you kind of proved my point there.
What's the point?
Well, the point is that it was part of a strategy, like a marketing strategy, like to disprove the black pillars or whatever the case may be.
Is me doing this debate part of a marketing strategy?
No, I think you legitimately, just wanted to have a discussion. I'm not. You can't. You could say anything you want about you, but that's not one thing that you could say. You're obviously always open to.
Well, some people might say that. Don't you think I just genuinely want to, like, piss off the black pillars? Like, why is that so unthinkable?
Well, I'm sure you do want to piss off the black pillars. That's what I was saying, is that the doubters like to try to give NDMP more credibility. Like, it wasn't just like to piss the black pillars off, because like really at the end of the day, who really cares about?
No, it was literally to rub it in the haters' faces. That was the whole point. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to keep showing receipts so these guys will, like, their brains will explode. That was the whole point. It wasn't like benefiting us financially directly in any way. It was just mainly for fun. It's like, yo, I can see the black pillars going crazy in the chat every time it happens. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I started out saying, is that it seemed like it was staged, and I mean,
staged. Promise that staged implies that we paid the girl or the girl doesn't go home with it. So just the fact that he took a different walking path, that doesn't make it staged. So if that's your definition of staged, then sure. But I think the way most people look at stage is like, oh, it wasn't genuine. You paid that girl, or it's a girl that you already fucking. You told her to do that, right? That's what most people associate with stage, not him walking slightly more to the left so that he can basically be on camera.
Right. So the definition is still staged. I mean, I'm not saying that they were paid or whatever. They were actresses, but it was still like that was my assumption, was that it happened once organically, and then it became like a fixture of your live streams for a while there, that he was like sneaking girls out or walking by with the girls. And yeah, to me, that's staged. The scene is staged, right? The deliberately bringing them into frame so that people could react to it. And yeah, I mean, that was my really only point. I'm not accusing them of paying them or whatever. That was really my only point.
Okay,
And,
so will you acknowledge that he was not paying them?
Well, I think a huge majority were probably from seeking arrangements. So I don't think that I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that he doesn't pay 1 single cent to these girls on seeking arrangements. But they have it in their mind that they could possibly, like, let me put this to you. So if somebody says that there's a potential, if I go work a soup kitchen tomorrow, there's a potential that somebody will hand me $10,000 when I'm done. I go and I work the soup kitchen, I get done, and I get paid nothing. Did I just do charity? Am I a good guy? Like, no, I did it because my motivation, even though I didn't get paid anything, my motivation was to potentially get $10,000. So that's the whole point of that.
Do you believe me when I say that it's like part of his girls, but like he's 30-40% of chicks or whatever he's banging is not from seeking, it's from other sources?
I believe you, and he's admitted that, but he has said that the majority are from seeking, and my contention is that the quality, if you're going to put the balance of quality is going to skew towards the seeking, and then when we go towards the Tinder and the Bumble and everything else, you're going to get the lower quality. That's my theory. But
okay, let me actually provide some receipts. So I'm asking him to show me the hottest girls he banged from non-seeking. Hang on a second. That you banged.
I mean, I'm gonna whatever he sends you, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it as the truth.
So here's a photo of the blonde girl, the one that people were talking shit about in the video. This is her. So you can see she looks pretty decent.
She's got a good body, but you could tell it's the same woman. I could tell by the face that it's the same woman.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's the same woman. Yeah. I'm not saying it's a different woman. I'm saying it is the same woman.
No, I'm saying the face looks similar from that picture. It's not, you can't see it great, but the picture.
Well, like a girl's not really going to look that great after she's been fucked, after her mascara is kind of running. Like, it's just, she's not going to be looking her best, at that point. And the camera and the lighting really didn't help, that situation. I'm going to have him send me a whole bunch of photos of girls he's banged from not seating, because I've seen some of the chicks he's banged from either Social Circle or Cold Approach, and they're fucking hot. So I'm going to show that with, to everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you show, like I said, I'm coming with an open mind, but, and I want to go back to like about me having my own opinion and not saying about what somebody else might think. My overall theme is like, because everybody's so skeptical of dating coaches, that really you can't do anything to give anybody an edge, right? You have to think of things before, right? Because you're not going to be able to show proof after the fact. Because even if you show me the hottest girls that he's got from Tinder, I could turn around and say, hey, no, they're from seeking. Like there's no perfect receipt. The only perfect receipt is his game. Like that's it. That's all you can show me is game where he was actually running quality game. That's it. It's the only thing that matters, really. It's what you're selling. That's your product.
But the idea of but the problem is quality game is very subjective. You might think it's quality game, or I might think it's quality game. You might think it's dog shit game. All right. So that's it's very, very subjective. Now I want to go back to what you were saying earlier about sorry, how did you start off your response? You said something in the beginning.
About which subject?
Right when you started talking, right after I was done talking.
Oh, about like if like I have my own opinion, but like the dating coaches, if there's a lot.
Okay, I remember now. So it's like that in pretty much every industry. Fitness, most people in the fitness industry are scammers. Supplements, most people in that industry are scammers. Marketing courses and self-improvement. Most people in that industry are scammers. So it's like that in pretty much every industry on the internet. The pickup industry is not really any different than like all those other industries. But yeah, there's no way, unless you play it super safe and you literally just like don't show anything and you're like super, super safe, that you can avoid criticism, right? You are going to at some point say something where people will criticize you for, and that's okay. I'm okay with people criticizing me. I'm okay with people thinking this or that. What I look at is what does my core audience think? Does my core audience agree with me, or is my core audience, flipping on me? And when I see that my core audience doesn't give a shit, it's like 5 or 10 black pillars who disagree with me. It's like I don't give a fuck. Like it doesn't affect my business in any way. It doesn't affect me in any way.
Well, that's not always the case, Alex. I mean, I don't want to I came into this thing not wanting to like stir up a bunch of shit, but there have been times, even recently, when your audience, like your core audience, like you said, has like pushed back on something, and you kind of just like, you know what I mean? Like you take a different stance, and you kind of like hard. Well, like the post that you had a couple weeks ago with Greg getting banned and Stefan doing what he did and everything, that was like a mutiny, man. Like if you look at those comments, that shit was brutal.
It just seems like a whole bunch of people who don't like Greg saying that they don't feel bad. That's not really necessarily them mutinying on me. It's just like saying, yo, we don't feel bad because Greg is a dipshit. That's what they said. I'm not saying that. I love Greg, but yeah. So I don't see that. Yeah, sure, they can disagree with me. That's different than like there being a scandal.
No, I'm not saying that there was a scandal, but there's incident, and I'm just using that as an example. But there's instances where a lot of people in your audience disagree with something or agree with something.
Yeah, sure, it happens sometimes, but this whole seeking thing wasn't one of them.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm looking at it through my eyes, right? So I just assume that everybody is going to have the same analytical brain that I have, and when they're presented with information that they didn't previously have, that they're going to draw the same conclusions as me. I don't think that it was a scandal. Again, I don't think anybody did anything immoral or anything like that. Just from my perspective, yeah.
Did anyone do anything that was deceitful? That's the key question.
Well, again, if you say any receipt that we pull from Seeking, so anybody that even had anything to do with Seeking, we don't include it in any of our lay reports or any of our receipts, any of the pictures that we show, any of our lay count that we're touting to the world. So if that's the case and none of those people are factored into those numbers, then I would say no. But if they're mixed in with everybody else, like everybody's the same, then I would say it's not deceitful, but it's not forthcoming.
Well, to be fair, we do include Seeking in our lay counts, but we clarify, be like, hey, like my lay count is like 400. I'd say 50 of those girls come from Seeking, something like that. So we are upfront about it. Like in the NPO will be like, yeah, my lay count is 200, whatever. And he'd be like, yeah, the majority of girls from Seeking. I have this many from blah, blah, blah. Actually, I just had him send me photos of hot girls he's hooked up with outside of Seeking. So let me pull this up. So this is, again, outside Seeking. So let's say this girl's pretty attractive. This girl is really fucking hot. You can see this is, fucking Tinder. This chick, I don't know if that's the same girl. She looks similar. But yeah, so here are 3 attractive girls that he hooked up with outside Seeking. And this is on like last minute notice. Like this is literally, he just got me this in like 30 seconds. Let me see if there's more. But the point is, yeah, the dude has clearly hooked up with attractive girls off Seeking. Like, I don't know what kind of proof people want. Like, tell me guys what kind of proof you want to see, and I will get it to you. Like, what kind of proof would you like to see, Ennis?
The only proof that I need to see, Alex, and I will agree with everything. I will advertise for you. I will come on live stream and say that I was wrong about everything. The only proof that I need to see, but you're going to say that it's subjective, is an example of text game or infield that was actually from start to finish decent game that wasn't cringy or or awkward or anything like that, where he followed the rules, because there are rules, right? You could say it's subjective, but there are certain concepts that even you teach, right? That aren't always followed. Like you showed the Clara text messages. Do you think that was decent game that he ran? Now, regardless of the outcome, obviously he hooked up with her. But would you say if that was a student saying, "Hey, what do you think of these texts that I sent to this girl?" Are you going to give him feedback and say, "Yeah, this is great"?
I don't think he made any major mistakes. That one's a little different though, because the primary goal was to set up a video. So like 80% of the conversation was about the video. There's only a little bit of flirting. So that one's kind of hard. But yeah, okay, so let's just get straight to that. So the claim that, there's some suboptimal game. So why don't we just go through, let's start with texting. Let's go through some of my layer reports, and you can specifically tell me what you feel is suboptimal. You said that if I can show you examples of a good game, you're gonna, advertise for PWF or whatever. So let's just take a look at it and go through it one at a time. So I'm gonna go to our website.
Yeah, give me 1 second again. I gotta take a piss.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
You're good. Here's a cold approach play he sent me. Let me zoom in on her. I mean, the question is again, like, just tell, like, if you're a skeptic, tell us what kind of proof you want to see, and I will find it and show it to you. Because it seems that, like, it's like, bro, we doubt you. Okay, well, like, what do you want to see? Oh, I want to see your screenshots. Okay, here it is. Oh, but that's, so it's like, if you're a skeptic, just tell me what kind of evidence you want to see, and I will get it to you. All right,
yeah,
so
I can't speak for the other people, but like I said, for me, the only thing that I need to see, since what you're selling is, well, how can I put this? Oh, perfect example. You had that conversation with Coach Whitehill a while back, right? And you said you think that his game is good, but his implementation of it is bad, right? Is that what you said, basically?
I said his theory is good, but his execution subpar.
So that would be what I would say about you and NDMP. That would be my assessment of your guys' game, is that you have, and I'm going to give you credit. So like, you were a pioneer for bridging the gap between like regular game and like online. I will give you that. I even benefited from that. But as far as like you have the concepts, you misinterpret a lot of stuff. But then when you look at the actual interactions, like, yeah, some of it is just like really, it makes me, and I don't think that it matters so much. Like, I think that girls will let you get away with a lot. So like, even if the text game like sucks, if they're attracted enough to you, they're gonna still hook up with you. So that's
okay. So let's just go through some of the layer reports, and you can point out what you think is suboptimal. Let's start off with this. This is a good one, and we can. By the way, if you want to go through different ones, we can go through any one that you want that you see on our website. I just thought this one was interesting. Okay, so little redhead chick that wanted banging. So I guess just tell me when to go next, and tell me what you think was suboptimal. Like I don't think there's a point for me to like read it out to you. Just straight up tell me, hey, this was suboptimal, or hey, go to the next one. So
well, yeah, I'm on my phone. I can't see shit. I really.
Do you need me to read it out for you?
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to be like all time consuming, then you don't have to do it.
Well, no, but I think this is a very important point. I think it's important for us to cover. So I will do that. Okay, hey, Trouble. She says, you speak Russian, and just stop me when you think that I messed up.
I stopped you. The hey Trouble. That's like my biggest thing, man.
Why?
The hey Trouble. Well, at this point, like, I don't think that it was too bad originally. But I think at this point, it has to be used like a significant amount now. I think it's probably cliche now. Like, you might have been the originator of it, but I think it's so widely circulated now because of your channel that I think that there's a good chance that if I say, hey, Trouble to a girl on Tinder, or whatever, that they're going to probably know that I'm like using a canned line. So
Yeah. So first of all, this was in 2017, as you can see the timestamp. So way before
okay, all right.
I had influence. And second of all, like what you're saying intuitively might make sense. I was thinking about that too. But then I decided to do some interesting experiments where I created a profile as a girl, and we had like thousands of dudes fucking message us. Not a single hey trouble. So I think in the grand scheme of things, just due to how big Tinder is and how relatively small my channel is in comparison to that, I've never received a hate trouble as a girl. None of my female friends have ever received a hate trouble, so I'm honestly not worried about that. There's again, I would have thought the same thing as you. You know, like yeah, my channel's so big, you know, we're gonna blow up hate trouble, but in reality, it's never happened or to any of my
Would,
friends. So I'm not worried
would
about
you would you agree that you probably shouldn't, like, regardless of whether or not the girls have heard it before, like, do you promote still that your audience use that as an opener, even though it's potentially like not a it's original for you because you came up with it, but like shouldn't they come up with their own style of opener?
that. Well,
Like
yeah, I talk about in my video the most effective type of opener is a unique observation on her photos. That's the most effective. So that's the best. But sometimes guys just want to copy and paste shit, right? They don't have time to think of a unique
yeah.
observation. In that case, this comes in. Now I've also said the best opener right now was the one I did a video on. The most effective opener, which had like a 90% success rate, is something like, "Hey, you can steal my comfiest hoodie. Don't worry," or something like that. I forget how it goes. That one had a 90% success rate.
That's not bad.
Hate trouble is like 40% or something like that. So yeah, there are more effective openers, that people can use, and I've been public about that. But just because I used this opener 5 years ago doesn't mean my game was suboptimal. Like at that time, no one has heard of PWF. My channel had like fucking 2,000 subscribers. So yeah, that doesn't mean that my game is suboptimal at all.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'm reacting to that retroactively, like in current day through the lens of current day PWF. But if it was 2017, then rock out with it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
You
you kind
go.
of see here. You speak Russian. Yeah, Izuchala So she's saying, I studied in St. Petersburg. It was a while ago, so I've forgotten a lot of what I learned. Yes, I was born in, I think this is Belarus, is or Russia. Yeah, this is a Russian flag. They say practice makes perfect. Truth, I barely met anyone who speaks Russian here, so I'm definitely out of practice. It's okay. I'll be sure to definitely whisper a few choice Russian words in your ear. So just let me know if you need me to stop. So here I'm starting to flirt with her. You're so forward, but I like that. So good. You are submissive, I'm guessing. Haha, you guessed correctly. Perfect. I can order you around in Russian. Makes learning fun. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Two things. I notice a lot that, like, I call it like ancestry.com game that you run sometimes, like where you're like hyper fixated on like languages, and I get why, because it's something that you have in common. But I notice you ask even like non-Russian girls, like when you do your cold approaches on the street and stuff, you always ask like where they're from, what their accent is.
Yeah,
I
why
don't
is
know
that bad?
What's that? Why is it bad? I don't know that it's necessarily bad. But I think it's when you're talking to a stranger, I think it's iffy. Like I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's going to have a high success rate. I think if I went up to a chick on the corner and I'm like, "What's your accent?" Like they're going to be like, "Get the fuck away from me." Honestly, that's and maybe that's a me thing. I don't know. But
Well, you're missing the context. If you go up to a random girl and you're like, "Hey, where's your accent?" You might be right, but I never use that as an opener. I use that while I'm having the convo with the girl. We've been chatting for 30 seconds, a minute. Then I slip that in. And
yeah.
so, given that context, why is it suboptimal to talk about her accent or her ethnicity? Like, how can that possibly hurt you?
Well, if she has an accent, it's not that bad. Right? But I think in some of the recent ones, it's just like a go-to. I think sometimes for you, like it's I don't want to say it's a crutch, but I think you lean on that a lot. But I don't think it's bad per se.
But why is it suboptimal to lean on that?
Well, it's not really like when you're dealing with a stranger. You probably, I mean, you got to look at it as you're a stranger coming up to somebody on the corner, and I don't think that's the most optimal way to hook her, because you got to hook her pretty quickly because she's going to be pulling away. So like going into dialects and where are you from and all that is, yeah, I don't know. But the reason I stopped I just wanted to point that out. But the reason I
wait,
stopped
what do you think? Sorry, quick question. What do you think is more optimal instead of asking her about her background? What do you think is a better move?
So cold approach is tricky. I would always try to say something that makes it look like I'm not just randomly coming up to talk to her specifically. So I'll try to think of something that's happening around us or something like that. I'll bring something up, but I don't generally do much like dedicated cold approach. I basically see an opening and then I do go for it if I go for it.
But
So
you're talking about like in the opener. I'm not talking about in the opener. I'm talking about you've been talking to the girl for a minute or two. What would be better than asking her about her ethnicity? What's a better replacement?
Well, like I said, you got to wrap it up pretty quickly. Like you only have a limited amount of time. I don't. Maybe a better way to put it is I don't know what you get from that, right? So like, what is the benefit of asking her that? Like it's putting words in between silences, right? So it is keeping the conversation going, but what is it doing to
there's many things that you benefit from that. Number one, it can build comfort, right? So the girl feels like she knows a little bit about you, you know about her, so that can build comfort. Number two, provides you a good opportunity to tease the girl. So for example, if the girl's like, yeah, I'm Colombian, I'd be like, uh-oh, right? Allows you to tease the girl. If she says she's like Russian or something, I'd be like that, like, oh, cool. Are you one of Putin's BFFs or something like that? So provides you an opportunity to tease the girl. And then also keep in mind, I'm from a foreign country, so it allows me to DHV. So the girl will be like, oh, where are you from? I'll be like, Russia. She'd be like, oh, cool. I'd be like, yeah. And then she'll start speaking Russian to her. So for someone like me who's ethnic, it allows me to DHV. It allows me to build comfort and allows me to tease the girl. It's all win. There's no downside to it.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying that there's not a downside to it, but like my thing is what would I get out of it? Like I understand your situation, you're from Belarus or whatever, so you have that connection, but like I'm a white guy from South Philly. I mean, it's not going to work for me. You're teaching this, right? You're showing it as a demonstration. So it's not going to work for 99% of your audience.
Well, okay, first of all, that's not true. Like 20-30% of my audience is not American, or at least not like originally American. They're from, I just going off like what I see in my mastermind. There's a lot of Indian guys, a lot of European guys, a lot of South American guys. So it's more like 20-30%. And even if you're not, like for someone like you, it can still be very useful. It's not going to be as good as it is for me, but it can be useful. Like you see a chick who has a cute, like, I don't know, like Hispanic accent, right? And you'd be like, I like your accent. Where are you from originally? She'll be like, oh, I'm from, Brazil. I'd be like, Brazil. Is it true what they say about Brazilian girls? She'd be like, what did they say? You'll be like, oh, you don't even want to know. I heard you guys are troublemakers or whatever, and just make a joke out of it. So yeah, I mean, I think it can be beneficial for Americans and non-Americans, but obviously it'll be more beneficial for someone like me. But it can be useful for you as well. So once again, the question is, what would you replace that with?
Like I said, it would depend on the situation. Like you're going out specifically to cold approach. I don't go out specifically to cold approach. I see an opening, right? And if I see somebody that I want to approach, I do approach. But I'm pretty good at thinking. I can't think of it right now because there's nothing happening around me. But let's say that there's a homeless man like acting like and this is very common in Philly. So like if there's somebody causing trouble, somebody's fighting, or there's something happening, like I'll make a comment about something like that. One time, okay, this is a good example. One time, like there was like 10 million pigeons everywhere, and like I was making fun of the girl that she was scared of the pigeons. I think she legitimately was terrified, so I think it worked extra good because I guessed right. But that was just a random shot in the dark, and that seemed to work. So I'm basically just doing observational stuff.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I like observational stuff. I love observational stuff. I always talk about, yeah, do observational stuff. But once again, the hypothetical, let's assume this hypothetical, there's no observational stuff. Like there's nothing going on at all. Nothing at all. So what would you then replace the where you from originally response
well,
with?
well, that's where it gets tricky because now that would not work for me because then it would be clear that I was just approaching for the sake of just trying to talk to her. So I feel like that weirds a lot of girls out when random guys just come up and start talking for no reason. So I feel like
But
I don't.
you're confusing. I'm not talking about say that off the opener, right? We're talking
Yeah,
as the conversation progresses. So you're right. You're not going to go off the opener and be like, "So where are you from originally?" Right? That's something
right.
that's happening later on in the conversation, a minute in or so. And I'm still waiting for something that you think would be better to replace that with, right? Assuming there's no observational stuff, which I agree with you. Observational stuff is great, but assuming there's nothing observational, like I would like to hear something that you think is better than that strategy.
Well, it goes back to like the thing with the timeline. Like it's a sequence of events, right? So like if there's nothing observational, I wouldn't do the approach. So I wouldn't be in that position in the middle where I
Wait,
have
so
to
you
find
will
something.
only approach a girl if there's observational stuff you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, usually you can find something like there's always something going on, or there's something about her in particular that you can comment on. I mean, there's things that you can, but the one thing that I try to avoid is I try to because regardless of what you're like in real life, I mean, there's a lot of creeps out there, and like I think Looks Pharrell has a lot of good points on on that stuff. Like like not that you should be paranoid, but like they get approached by so many people. So I try to make it like I'm not specifically just walking around trying to pick up chicks. Like I try to make it like there's a reason why I'm saying something, and I'm not even engaging them like directly. Like I'm not standing in front of them.
I'm
Like I'm
not
saying,
I'm
yeah,
not disagreeing with anything you're saying. We're
yeah,
talking past each other because we're talking about two different things. I
yeah,
agree with you that it's good if you have a reason why you approach the girl. I agree with you that if the girl thinks you're just approaching everyone, that's a bad look. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but you're talking about things off the opener. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
yeah.
as the conversation progresses. So I guess it's interesting if you're saying that, hey, if there's no observational stuff, I just like won't do the approach. Well, then that means to me that you're limiting yourself because you can have some default fallback topics that you can discuss. Some of mine, I did a video on this, is what's your background? What sort of guys are you into? What's
Uh,
the craziest, most spontaneous thing you've ever done? So I think it is good to have a bunch of fallback topics in case there's nothing observational pops up. And if you're saying, yo, I don't fuck with that, like I'm gonna eject, if there's no observational stuff, I mean, hey, that's your prerogative, but you're limiting yourself at that point. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, most of the time I could come up. Like I'm not. Let me just be clear. I'm not. I'm not. It's not something that I do like really frequently. But if I see someone that I like, right, and there's an opening, like I could think of something on the fly based on what's happening around me. But yeah, that's. I don't. Well, my point is, I don't think that I'd be in the position to be in that middle part if there wasn't that opening for me to riff off of. So yeah, I don't really have a good answer unless it's
I mean, it's
that kind of.
interesting. I mean, you're basically saying in my conversation with a girl, I only talk about observational stuff,
No,
which
I pivot from there,
okay.
but
So where do you pivot to?
well, eventually you start to talk about them, but not necessarily what their accent is or where they're from. I mean, you could,
So what
and
what do you what do you talk about them specifically? Like what are we talking about here?
well, everyone's going to be different. It's going to depend
Well,
on
just
like.
for you, just for you.
Well, no. I'm saying every girl is going to be different. Every conversation is going to be different,
Well,
and
just,
it's
just give me some examples.
like what their name is for one, and what
Okay.
they're up to, like
Okay.
basic stuff. Yeah,
Okay. You get past the name. What's
yeah.
next? What are they doing right now? Okay. What's after that?
It's all going to depend on how the conversation is going. There's not a real good answer to give you unless I'm in the situation and I've experienced
Well,
the first half of the conversation.
Think back to the last girl you picked up from Cold Approach and try to imagine what you talked to her about.
Give me a second. I'm gonna try to think of an example.
Because it seems like you're saying, like, yeah, I'll talk about what her name is, what she's up to. That doesn't seem that radically different than, hey, what's your background? They're all get to know you questions.
No, but see, here's the thing. I don't think that it's bad. First of all, I want to say that that's not why I stopped you,
Okay.
but I did point that out. So the thing is, I'm all about you have to get in and get out pretty quickly. So if I'm not getting anything out of it, really, like her name is important. Her name is vital information. Her, other key details are key details, but like.
Wait, why do you have to get out there really quickly?
Because usually people are busy. You want to make it seem like you're busy yourself. You don't want to seem like you're just standing around doing nothing. So like,
yeah, but you can have a 5-minute conversation with a girl. That's totally fun.
Yeah, but like if depends on the situation. Like if they're sitting there, that's a different story. But usually it's like when you're in the city, you're walking around, like people, like you're just running into people because they're walking in the same direction or they're walking in the opposite direction. So it's not necessarily like everybody's like can just stand there and talk for forever. And I have to assume that she's going to try to eventually at some point eject herself from the situation. So I have a limited amount of time.
Well, that's why you actually made a good point. Initially, I will always say something like, "Hey, what are you up to right now? What are you doing?" Right? Try to figure out her situation. Is she late for an interview, or she has an hour to kill? Like that can make a massive difference. So you do want to figure that out pretty early. I'm still confused why you think that. What's your background is like suboptimal game? I guess my question would be, how many chicks out of the 40 chicks were from Cold Approach that you slept with?
Oh, very low, very low.
Like what, 2 or 3?
Yeah, I would say that's probably about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate to make an argument of authority, but I feel like I have to in this situation. Since you have very, very limited experience fucking girls from Cold Approach, don't you think that like you're not qualified to say that something is like poor whatever thing to say when you're talking to a girl in real life? Like, no offense, but like, how would you know? Like, you don't really have much experience in this area.
Well, so I'm not saying that it's bad. What I'm saying is that it's weight. So it's not hurting you, right? But it's hurting you in that could be replaced by something. Because the way that I'm looking at it, like I said, is it's expedited situation. So like I don't look at it like I can sit there and talk for 20 minutes.
But
so
what
like,
could it be replaced with that's better? Like what's a better alternative?
Like I said, like her name, her phone number, like things to wrap the situation up as quickly as possible.
Well, let's assume that you figure out her name during the first 10, 20 seconds, which is typically what happens. And so you're talking beginning and phone numbers at the very end, right? So let's assume you want to build some comfort, right? Some sexual tension after the name before you get her number, right? What are you going to replace what's your ethnicity, question? What's better? What's a better way of building comfort than that question?
Well, I mean, like I said, every situation is going to be different. I'm not going to be like you're not giving me much to draw from because I'm not having the conversation with some like every situation. I'm not using like canned things that I say to like
if every situation is different, then how do you know that in this situation this text wasn't called for?
What? Well, first of all, again, that is not why I pressed the pause button on this. The submissive line was what was making me squeal. But
okay, we can talk about that.
Yeah, that was why I wanted to stop. But I went back to because I just noticed that it's a habit of yours is like
Well, I have a whole video on it where I talk about that, and I think that's a great question to ask a girl. I've never had a negative reaction to that. I think it works really, really well. And I banged like at least 100 girls from Cold Approach. But yeah,
I don't think you're going to have a negative reaction to it. I just think like again, we're talking about Cold Approach. I feel like if you're doing cold approach, you have a limited amount of time, and I guess it's just again my brain works a little different.
Before I ask that question, I figure out how much time she has. So generally speaking, I'll like open the girl And when it comes to cold approach, like the second question will be like, hey, what are you up to right now? Right? I want to figure out how much time she has. So this is assuming that she has a little bit of time. Then I will get into that stuff. I'm not going to get into it like just right off the opener.
So how do you ask her how much time she has? How do you gauge that? Well, you just by saying like, what are you up to or whatever?
Yeah, well, it might be contextual, but if a girl's like walking around, I'll be like, so what are you power walking to? What's your plan for the day or something like that? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think it's bad. Like I said, I don't think it's like something that's going to hurt you. That's just my theory on it. I guess maybe I can re-examine that. But like my thing has always been, I don't want her to think that I'm just like standing around looking to talk to someone. So
that's not going to happen from that message in the context. Here's what I would recommend. I would recommend that you try, like just give an earnest try, and you might be surprised with the results. Like you might be surprised how well women react to it. I mean, you guys have seen me do it on speed dates countless times, and it's generally works out well. So I would say that try it, and then you can evaluate.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
All right, so next is the submissive thing. So what's the issue with that?
So this is another one that's going to be like my personal opinion. I think in general the text used most submissive and the word like I think that it's very true that women want to be submissive and that they want dominant men, but I think anytime that you like spell it out and say it over and over and over again, it seems like you're maybe the opposite of it, right?
Why?
Like, well, like what if a guy keeps saying, what do women think when a guy goes, I got a really big dick, I got a really big dick, I got a really big dick? They go like, that dude must have the smallest dick in the world, right? That's the kind of the same thing. Like, why do you have to talk about it? Why do you have to say the words? Why not show it with your actions? Why not, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's other ways of saying that you're dominant, showing that you're dominant, than saying I'm dominant. I'm a dominant man.
That's a fair question. So there's several reasons for that. The first reason why you might say that is because it allows you to sexualize the conversation very easily. The second reason is because in my bio, right? So it's not like I just have a random bio. In my bio, it says talk about how I'm dominant, how I'm into BDSM. So by that logic, any girl who matches with me should be submissive. And when I ask this question and she confirms it, then that allows me to sexualize some more. So you can see, perfect. I can order you around Russian, make learning fun. I can sexualize more. What is your biggest turn on fantasy? And you can see she gives me a detailed response. And then I give her mine. She's like, well, fuck, that was descriptive. Haha. You enjoyed it though. You could say that.
Whoa. So when she said, oh fuck, that was descriptive. What did you say before that? What was she reacting to?
I basically asked her what is her biggest turn on. She sent me this message, and then I sent this message.
Well, I can't see any of it.
Oh, I need to read it for you. Okay, so we'll get to that. But so given that context, is there really an issue with the good, you're submissive, I'm guessing, message?
Well, so it seemed like I think you took that as a positive response. I'm not saying that it was negative, but when she said, whoa, that's descriptive, that was exactly like kind of what I'm talking about, is like you're being too descriptive about things. Does that make sense to you?
Well, like, why do you think I'm being too descriptive?
Because she said, whoa, that's descriptive, man. Like it's clear that she was having a reaction. She was not expecting to have that reaction. I don't know what that message says though, so I can't really tell you exactly what she was reacting to.
Yeah, let's go in order and I'll read it. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong if your profile is sexual and you have dominant in your bio to establish that she is submissive. I guess my question would be, what do you think is a better way to sexualize over text? Do you have a better idea?
I don't think you should, honestly. So here's my theory, and this is what I was bringing up earlier about like my opinions on your guys' text game. So you agree that building sexual attention is important, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that when you over sexualize in text messages?
Well, the goal is not to over sexualize; it's to sexualize the right amount.
Well, okay, so let me just, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, but
You can say whatever you want.
I remember a text message where Indian P said the girl was going to come in his beard. That's a little graphic, right? I mean, that seems like that's a little bit too far.
You'd have to show me this text. I don't know what that one.
To be fair, I think it was one of the, like, you were reading Indian P's text message and be like, wow, this is fucked up. I think it was one of those videos, but I remember.
Which video, which timestamp? Like, I need to see it.
So I think that there was a time a couple years ago where you were actually helping him with his text game, and you were like taking over his phone. Yeah,
we were doing. No, I was never helping him. He was already good. We were doing takeovers. So I had one video where I took his phone and I pretended like I was him, but that's not me helping him.
Well, you were fixing his mistakes. So you.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't fixing his mistakes. I was just replying as it was me, and I was analyzing his texting. But his texting was always really fucking solid. I was never like fixing him or coaching him. And I did that with.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
I did that with a whole bunch of people where it was like a Tinder texting takeover. But anyway, back to this.
Yeah.
So
he did say in one of those videos. I thought it was like a fails compilation or something, but he did say like, I'm going to eat your pussy and the juice is going to be dripping down my beard and something like that. Something really graphic like that. So, like, if that's considered good, I don't,
Well, it depends on the context. If the conversation is very sexual, then that's fine. A lot of it is just context dependent.
Yeah.
Like, if a girl asks you to see your dick and you send her a dick pic, that's fine. That's not too much. But if you randomly send a girl a dick pic, then that is too much. So a lot of that depends on the context. I would need to see exactly what the context is here. But so again, my question is, how do you
make me dig in the crates, man? I'm gonna have to look for that shit. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. But so you don't believe in sexualizing at all over text?
I believe no. Look, so here's the thing. So you can't have two things at the same time. You can't have building sexual attention is important and then have over sexualizing in text messages at the same time, because.
But no one is advocating for over sexualizing. We're advocating for the right amount of sexualizing. How do you build sexual tension if you're not going to sexualize at all?
Well, you don't. But so you can't look. So sexual tension is an ongoing desire for sex without a release, right? That's what that is, right? You're building up the tension towards the moment. So if you're saying all this overly sexual stuff in text messages, that is basically a release. It's not the act itself, but it is somewhat.
But what if you're saying just the right amount of sexual text, not too many, but just the right amount?
What I'm saying is, so I would be very. I would do it more so in person on a date than I would do it in a text message. And if I'm doing it in a text message, it's going to be very minimal, and it's going to be like. More like I'm alluding to stuff or being very secretive.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just a different strategy. I'm not even saying your strategy is wrong, but I've tried that strategy, and I find that sexualizing a little bit more over text works better in terms of, number one, minimizing flaking because the girl hooks a lot harder, and number two, screening out girls who are looking for something different. But that's fine. You can have a different strategy, but your strategy isn't better than mine. They're just different, right?
So let me send you. I'm not going to be able to do it now, but let me email you a couple of examples, and then maybe I can come on again, or you could do a video like reacting to what I point out, because I've seen some like pretty bad examples. I get what you're coming from. Like, it's not bad to have some.
They're just different strategies.
Yeah. I mean, but you can't have two. You can't, if you're going to say that building sexual attention is important, you can't also be doing that over sexualization in text messages.
Well, I would argue that we are not over sexualizing in this example. This is just the right amount of sexualization. The reason I like to sexualize is, again, it screens out all the prude girls. Number two, when the girl comes over, you go straight to business. And number three, I think it makes it so the girl is way less likely to flake on you because she has that sexual investment. But okay. So
hold on, Alex. So I want to point out, I don't mean to interrupt again, but I understand screening out the prudes. So like this is another critique that I have is like I'm willing to bet that there are a certain percentage of your audience that want just hookups and stuff like that. But like if you're screening those kinds of girls out, they're the kind of girls that the guys are going to want to be in relationships with. So yeah, I mean, it seems like I think your strategy works for you because you have a certain type that you're going
Well,
for.
yeah, that's why. But I give multiple strategies. So when I do a coaching session with a client, I ask them, "What are you looking for?" My strategy will be different for someone who's looking for a relationship compared to just looking for pussy. There's a lot of overlap, but there might be some subtle differences. So yeah, like I give multiple different, advice for people. I have relationship advice, I have hookup advice, I have, all kinds of different types of advice. So yeah, they're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
sexualizing is probably much more preferred if you're looking for something more casual. Sure,
yeah,
I'll acknowledge that.
yeah, yeah. Okay, that's basically my point. And well, the point is also like you really can't build sexual tension. And another thing is,
Well, you definitely can over text.
well,
Yeah, absolutely.
well, you can build sexual tension over text, but not while you're. I know you're saying you're not over sexualizing, but if you are over sexualizing, there's no way that you're building sexual tension, because in and of itself, that over sexualization is a sexual release. So it's like defeating the purpose. But
Yeah, I understand that, but I don't believe
yeah,
I ever over sexualize, right? Because if I thought I was over sexualizing, I wouldn't be doing it. So yeah, I don't consider any of this over sexualizing. I consider this the right amount of sexualization. But anyway, so okay, so let's just get back into this. Good, you're submissive. I'm guessing. Haha, you guessed correctly. Perfect. I can order you around in Russian, make learning fun. So typically, one thing I'm known for is I counterbalance sexualization with humor. Won't complain about that. So positive response. What is your biggest turn on fantasy? I like sending that text. That's actually a tough one. I'm into a guy who can take charge, pick me up, pull my hair, and be vocal about what he wants. But I also love having sex outside. I also like nice lips on a guy. That's kind of my thing. So she's being very, very receptive, which is why I sent her this message. Perfect. Perhaps toss you on the bed, tease you until you are begging for, I guess, my cock, glide his tongue across your clit, then have his way with you. I guess I'm speaking the third
yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah.
I'll,
So
I'll do,
that's not over sexualization in a text message.
no, not at all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, over sexualization, if I'm sending her like 10, 20 texts like this where I'm just constantly, but sending her one paragraph about how I'm gonna fuck the shit out of her, totally fine. I think that just adds to hooking the girl. Well, fuck, that was descriptive, haha. Okay, let's see what happens next.
Well, but see that's what stopped me originally because you said that line about that was and she reacted negatively, sort of, right? That
That's
that
not that's,
oh
that's not a negative response.
it was a little bit of a shocked response to at the very least that she was not expecting that because and that's what she was reacting to that it was unusual to go that detailed and say all that stuff. I mean, she was reacting to it. She didn't just
Literally
respond.
look at the text after this. You enjoyed it though. You could say that winky face. Like she liked it. She was just
Yeah,
she was making a joke, but it's clear based on the second text is that she enjoyed that message.
yeah. But the fact that she made a joke about it was my point really that she
Yeah,
was not.
she made a joke about, but that doesn't mean that it was over the top.
I don't think that it ruined your chances, but I think it could have if it was somebody else. I mean, she might have been. I think depending on how attracted the girl is to you, you can pretty much get away with a lot. So I think she probably was into you, and she. I don't know what her intentions were behind sending that message, but that
But
stood out to me.
do you think if there was a bad text, she would have said you could say that too? You enjoyed it though. Like, why would she say this part if she did not enjoy it?
Well, because you followed it up with you would enjoy that, right? And she said she was responding to your follow up message, so she didn't say, well, that was descriptive, but I would enjoy that, right? She was responding to your follow up message after that. So
Yeah, but it's in reference to this paragraph. So she says, "Well, fuck, that was descriptive, haha," right? Which is just
yeah,
her kidding. And I say, "You enjoyed it though," and she says, "You could say that." Like, I think the evidence is pretty clear, which is that this text was a positive. Like, if it wasn't, the girl would have been like, not really, or change the topic, right? She wouldn't have said you could say that with a grin emoji. Like, she clearly enjoyed that message.
Well, I don't think, like I said, I don't think that it ruined your chances. I think that she might have been into you, and like one misstep is not going to like cost you. Like, she's not going to go like, fuck you, never talk to me again. Like, there's lots of factors at play, but like, just I don't think it was a negative reaction, and like that was like her telling you to stop doing that. But it's clear that she was shocked by it, to say the least. And I think it would have blown up in other situations, that exact same message.
Okay,
So,
do you think it was generally positive or generally negative for her?
I mean, I can't gauge her exact intentions behind what she said, but like that would have thrown me off if I said something like that.
Right, but
And
you're
then
a
she
guy.
like,
I'm not texting dudes. I'm just. What do you think about her?
I'm saying if I was texting her and I sent her that exact same message, and she said, "Whoa, that's descriptive," haha, I would have been like, "Fuck, I fucked up." Like I
Well,
did
no, but
something.
that's not actually an answer to the question. I'm asking, what do you? Because you're talking about her state of mind. So I want you to take your best guess and tell me whether you think that message was generally positive for her or generally negative for her.
I think she thought it was weird, to be honest with you.
So
Like,
generally, are you saying generally negative?
I would say generally negative, but not negative enough to ruin
Right.
your chances.
So
Yeah.
then my question is when in the next message I reference it, I say you enjoyed it though. She said you could say that with a grin emoji. Why would she say that if it was
Well,
negative?
moving on from the awkward moment, right? That's she's not going to stay there in that moment in time and just like argue the point, like, oh, I thought that was really weird, right? So you moved the conversation forward, and she was happy to go along with you and move the conversation forward. And
Well,
you know what I mean?
I'm actually not moving the conversation forward. I'm actually talking about that text. I'm saying you enjoyed it though. It says you could say that. I mean, I guess you could try to make the argument that she's lying, but it seems more
No, I'm not
reasonable.
making no.
Well, like then what else is it? Like she's saying she liked it, so
Well, she probably would enjoy that. She probably does like that. But my point is for you to explicitly say it in a text message, and that to be that descriptive in the message. She was taken aback by that. She was shocked by it. She
but
probably
you have
found it a
no
little
way of
weird.
knowing that. You're purely speculating.
Well, I said that I have no way of knowing what her intentions were. But when you're showing me this message, that stood out to me that she reacted that way. Whoa, that's descriptive. So I don't know what she was. Yeah, I am assuming it was awkward based on the fact that she seemed like she was thrown off by it. But I don't, like I said, I don't think it was bad to the point where
Well,
she probably had.
but you have to consider. Look at this. Well, fuck, that was descriptive. Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
yeah.
the ha 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 is actually an important part of this because if she's just like, damn, that was very descriptive, you could make an argument that was like, whoa, right? But because she says, well, fuck, and then she says that was descriptive, ha ha ha, it means that more of like my interpretation is like, yo, like, fuck, this guy's damn, I don't know why this guy turning me on like that. Fuck. That's kind of how I interpret that.
Girls and women do nervous laughter like all the time. I mean, like I said, I can't gauge what her actual response. I mean, you could reach out to her if you want and ask what she thought of it, but I'm just going like that's the problem with showing these messages too. It's like unless we have the third party here to tell us, like I'm just speculating, like based on what my reaction was to seeing the message and then seeing her response to the message. So yeah, I can't tell you either way. Like you, and I don't think again.
The problem is that you're viewing it from your lens, and your lens is a straight guy. You know, like
No,
you're not straight.
no. Of course I am, but I'm not. I'm trying to view it from her perspective and from the perspective of what I know about the game, basically. So
But you can't view it from her perspective because you're not a woman that guys are hitting on, right? You can try to view it from her perspective, and
yeah, well, trying to, yeah. So
right,
I want to.
But the problem is also you have like very limited experience in that field.
In what field? You were talking about cold approach before.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, what about like dating apps? How many girls have you hooked up with from dating apps?
Oh, well, I met up with a lot of girls from dating apps.
But how about hooked up?
See, that was never really my thing. Probably the last 2 or 3 years I've been using them. So maybe 6 or 7, and I don't use them.
Okay,
very
fair
often.
enough. Look, I'm not.
Yeah.
I want to be clear. I'm not trying to attack you for that.
No, I know.
That's totally fine. But you do have a very limited data set, right? I have a much bigger data set. Again, it's an argument of authority. I understand, it's not the best argument, but my data set is a lot higher. So, like, your data set is super limited. So that to me, it's like, well, I'm trying to view it from her perspective. It's like, well, do you have the experience to be able to do that?
Yeah. But so you have the argument of authority, but you yourself said that it's bad to over sexualize. So now you're making the argument that kind of text message is not over the top. So
right,
you're saying it's bad to over.
This is not over sexualization. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
maybe
we can ask some girls. Like, let's ask any girl in the chat. Do you think this was over sexualization?
Man, come on.
What else can we do?
Well, I mean, there's probably not a whole lot we can do, but asking the girls in the chat, like, come on, man. I'm trying to be as fair as possible here, but I know that ain't fair towards me. I'm trying to be.
Well, I mean, I think if you have a good argument that like some of the girls will agree with you. Okay. I mean, I guess we can agree to disagree. I definitely don't think this is over sexualization. I've done this countless times with like well over 100 girls, and it works. But I think that the only way for you to get to the bottom of this is try it yourself. Like, literally try this, and I will bet that you're going to be very impressed with how well it works.
So let me just say this. Now, this is not necessarily all women that I've hooked up with. So this includes women that I talk to and friends, right? So one thing that they complain about more often than not is that dudes are all talk and they're just constantly. Can you even hear me? I'm like losing my voice from.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, the number one complaint that I hear a lot is that these guys are just like talking, all talk. And then when the expectations are built, see, that's what it is you build the expectations so high that even when you perform well, when the time comes, if her expectations are higher than
but that's not an issue I have because I fuck the shit out of these girls really well. So that's not a problem for me. I promise you, I've never had any disappointed. But
that's the complaint that a lot of. Would you agree that's a complaint that a lot of them have?
Yeah, probably a good amount. Yeah.
All right, so that might prevent you from getting to the point where you can prove it, right? So you might be very skilled in that area.
So just fuck the shit out of girls. It's not that hard. Just in addition to sexting, learn how to fuck girls well.
No. I'm saying if she thinks you're full of shit before she even meets up with you, she thinks that your line of texting is like the other guys, just all talking, no backing up. You know what I mean? You're never even going to get the chance to hook up with her.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that this type of texting, which is a combination of humor, logic, and sexualization, works better than just pure logical exchanges. Because again, some girls will get turned off, but the girls that don't, they're hooked really, really hard, and you're way more likely to get the date with the girl. I mean, I've played this game where I fuck a chick and I go through her Tinder, and I'm looking, and she's like talking to guys way better looking than me. And I'm like, hey, why didn't you meet up with these dudes? This guy's a fucking giga chat. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. You had me really intrigued when you said blah, 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 blah. So I would, I've tried every strategy. I would say that a combination of sexualization, humor, and some logical discussion is probably the ideal way to text a girl on dating app. But that's just me. Okay, let's try to get through this. So you enjoyed that. You could say that. I bet we have a lot of fun together. I agree. So I'm trying to move things forward. Someone's up past their bedtime. Yeah, and true to form, my body clock still woke me up at 8 a.m. like a total asshole. So here, more sexualization. A few screaming orgasms should cure that. Today I had to settle for brunch. What a pity. We should change this. Sure. When and where would we meet up? I'm free around 8 most weekdays. Okay, so here we're still going. Tuesday evening will work unless you're feeling spontaneous tonight. Tuesday works for me. I just worked out and feel dead. Haha. Sounds good. Shoot me your number. Can we talk on here until we meet in person? I like to wait to get my number out. It's interesting when girls do that. That's cool. Do you have Snapchat? This is like for the very limited bit of time. She's like, nope, I have IG. I guess things are getting serious. So joke. She's like, haha, well, my IG is usually anything but. I say good. I like a girl with a sense of humor who enjoys getting ordered around in Russian. And here I'm confirming, hey, still good for tonight. She says, I have to do OT today and just got out of work. I'm sorry. I don't look particularly cute at the moment. So I'm down for tomorrow or Thursday if you can't swing that. So sorry. I'm busy as fuck at work. No worries. Next time, though, I might have to spank you a little. Some more sexualization. I'm free at smiley face. I'm free at 8:30 tomorrow on Thursday. Do you want to meet for drinks somewhere? I live on the east side. Tomorrow evening works. I live on the east side too. Let's split a bottle of wine on my super romantic patio. So I do that one all the time. Sounds like a plan. I like res this time of year, but I'm not picky. Perfect. I got a nice bottle of Pinot Noir. Yo, sexy. Hey, just got work. Still down to meet up. I give her my address here. Okay, I'll text you when I'm on the way or message you. Haha, sounds good. Heading over. Let me know when you're here. I think I'm here. Blah blah blah. So here's just more logistics. Uh, and here's, I guess, this is when I got. Okay, so yeah, this is her. I got her number during the date, and this is just yeah. So last night was fun. I agreed down to meet up again for sure. So yeah, so I mean, I think pretty straightforward. I don't
Yeah.
really think there's any suboptimal text game that took place there.
Well, I mean, no, like I said, I don't think that there's anything that, like, depending on, like, let's say you just made the cut, like she was just barely attracted to you, right? You just met her looks threshold. She barely is interested in you. If she found that weird or that threw her off, that would be the end. But this chick, it didn't work out for you that way. So, I mean, it's and another thing is it's your style is very polarizing as well. You admit that yourself. So I guess it's all depending on what you're looking for, what kind of you know.
There's a famous saying: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So yeah, you could play it safe, and that's fine. I prefer to spice up my texting a little bit. I think that's better. I've tried doing like the really safe texting, didn't really work that well. So I prefer being a little bit more polarizing, spicing up my text game. Yeah, I don't know.
That's fine. I think it was a good conversation. I don't know. I think we're like at 3 hours now, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I do want to wrap up. I guess the last thing that, and yeah, I did enjoy this conversation. I appreciate you engaging in good faith.
yeah,
Um, you took issue with the hater thing in the comment. I
yeah.
guess, like, do you think you could name me like three comments that you've left that were positive?
So yeah, I want to address that. So thanks for giving me an opportunity. So
Mhm.
I would agree with you 100% that 99.9% is either me trolling or saying something negative. I 100% that there's no doubt. But I I also think you probably would agree that I'm kind of a reasonable guy.
Yeah,
I
you
kind
are.
of keep an open mind, right? So yeah, there's people that you're never going to please, and there's always going to be assholes that are going to troll no matter what and say talk shit no matter what. But when somebody like me, who's open-minded, willing to come here and discuss with you, you need it. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong, but it's my put it this way: if you did something that was really based or said something that I really agree with, I'll make a point to say it. But it's more often than not that I'm like at odds of what I'm seeing, especially lately. Like I said, in the beginning, when you were doing all the case studies and like trial and error, like even if I didn't agree with you, I thought the conversation was valuable. But I think you've gone away from that a little bit. So
Gone
um,
away from, wait, explain that. Gone away from what?
okay, so here's an example. I think a lot of the times in the beginning you were doing your own, sharing your own messages like you just did, right? So that was probably better than what I've seen lately. If you go to your shorts or you go to your recent videos, your text breakdowns, it's really all users, and a lot of the text messages is not great. So that's a lot of what I react to is like stuff like that. Like yeah, I think I'm fine with you doing the other kind of content, but I think you're doing it kind of at the expense of what you're originally famous for is like, the analytical stuff, breaking down the case studies and the social experiments and those kinds of things. I think
Yeah, I disagree with you completely. I mean, like, if we're just like a lot of people have said, especially in the last month, that like, PWF content is on fire. I was never doing the street interviews. Like this video right here, the street interview, this is like 7 hours of work. This one is like fucking 5-6 hours of work. But in terms of like analytical, this is a very analytical video. I break down all the mistakes people make when it comes to texting. Wait, sorry, this is the wrong order. Let me go on videos. Okay. So
yeah. No, I'm not saying you're not.
So that's a very analytical one. This one's a very analytical one. This one's a very analytical one. It's about day game.
Yeah.
This is very analytical. So like every week I'm doing those analytical videos.
Well, I'm not saying you're not working hard or that you're. What I'm saying is
maybe analytical videos I'm still doing.
Yeah, but maybe I'm making negative comments because I disagree with your analysis. Like that's possible too, right? Like I mean, my point is I'm not just being a hater. I do like you. I think you're a good dude. I think you have good intentions. I like Indian P. I think he has good intentions. I like everybody. I just I have an opinion, and I'm not trying to just be an asshole. And I'm more than willing to have a conversation about it. And I'm more than willing to say that I'm wrong if I'm wrong. I've done it a couple times tonight, so that's all. I mean, I'm not a hater. I'm just I would say that I'm a disgruntled fan, I guess you could say. Probably.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you being good at it. I appreciate you acknowledging, when you're wrong. I really do appreciate that. That puts you ahead of like 80% of my haters. But can you see from my perspective, before we had this conversation, before I knew that, when all I see is 99% negative comments, it's pretty easy for me to think you're a hater. Now, at this point, after we had this discussion, I no longer think you're a hater, right? But before that, when we didn't have this discussion, all I see is just 99% negative comments. Yeah, of course I'm going to think you're a hater.
Yeah, I didn't blame you at all for that assessment. that assessment made total sense. But I get what you're saying. I had to have an opportunity to explain where I was coming from for you to see. So, hopefully I did that. And I am going to dig in the crates and look up some stuff. So I might be back. I don't know.
Okay. You're welcome anytime.
All right. Sounds good, brother.
All right, listen, man, I really appreciate it. We had a good discussion. And yeah, man, you're welcome anytime. Have a good night, buddy.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. I've been going for 3.5 hours. I have to shoot a video later tonight. I have a coaching call. Went a little bit longer, but I enjoyed that discussion. The guy was chill. He was reasonable. I think, I might have gotten to change his perspective on certain things, or at least budget his perspective. Doesn't always have to be heated. But yeah, the one with, what's his name? Fucking tomorrow, Andrew versus the Crucible versus Kevin Ray Wilder. That's going to get spicy as fuck. And then the second one on Wednesday is going to be me versus Stefan, the dipshit, whatever, the educated dipshit. So yeah, that one should be juicy as fuck too. So we got a bunch of good stuff for you. All right, guys, I'll probably be on Greg's channel later tonight. And if you want to chat with me more, if not, I'll be streaming tomorrow night. I promise we will do an after show tomorrow after the Crucible versus Kevin debate. All right, guys, appreciate you all. Stefan wants to come on now. Fuck no, I'm debating him on Wednesday. Why would I have him on now? What's the point? We're going to be debating in literally 48 hours. And I ain't talking to that motherfucker unless there's a moderator. There's no point because you're just going to refuse to answer questions. So, yeah, Stefan, you're going to have to hang in there for 48 hours. you'll get to talk to me real soon.